Chapter 45. Huiku controlled the Golden Arhut to attack Lin Feng. Lin Feng used the Ksitigarbha Sutra to deal with it, temporarily blocking the Golden Arhut's attack. Even though he was surprised that Lin Feng actually studied the Ksitigarbha Sutra overnight, Huiku's heart that was hanging in the air before was half relaxed because he felt that Lin Feng's resistance wasn't strong. Don't mention the Golden Elixir period. He wasn't even at the Foundation establishment stage. Huiku sneered. With just this bit of ability, you want to show off in front of this poor monk? If I knew you were just a facade, this poor monk wouldn't need to use the formation to help you. Lin Feng faintly looked at him, his tone indifferent as he said, "You're just a frog at the bottom of a well, guarding the remains of your ancestors and spouting nonsense here." Huiku's expression changed. "Damn ox nose, do you dare to say that again?" Lin Feng calmly shook his head. "This formation is the source of your arrogance? Today, I will dispel this illusion of yours and let you know your true colors." Huiku laughed from extreme anger. "This poor monk will first strangle your ox nose to death. You can block one Arhut, but..." Putting his palms together, Huiku's tone was awe-inspiring. "But 24 of them, can you still block them?" With a thought, the 24 golden Arhuts surrounded Lin Feng together. Each Arhut was several tens of meters tall. Surrounding him together, it instantly created a pressure that covered the sky and destroyed everything. Huiku stared at Lin Feng and said word by word, "Today this poor monk will definitely send you to hell. The art of Akala, the Ksitigarbha Sutra, you have to obediently spit them out for this poor monk. These are all secret techniques of my great Thunder Monastery. How can we allow an evil creature like you to take them for yourself?" Lin Feng calmly raised his head to look at the golden Arhuts surrounding him. In terms of height and size, it was as if he had come to a country of giants. "Just a small formation. I don't even need to personally act. My 2 disciples are enough." Huiku was stunned. He suddenly sensed that there were actually people try to take away a certain Saraira that was the eye of the formation. Huiku was instantly enraged. "Two little beasts, how dare you?" When Lin Feng attracted most of Huiku's attention, Xiao Yin and Xiao Budian were ignored by the monk. In Huiku's view, one was at the 6th level of Qi disciple and the other was at the 7th level of Qi disciple. Just the suppression of the Buddhist life formation on their minds was enough to make them collapse. But the Thundershock staff and golden paper displayed their use. Not only did they help the two resist the pressure of the formation, they even made the formation make a wrong judgment, mistaking the two of them as its own people. "This way." Xiaoyan took the lead and walked to a corner of the formation. Under the faint golden haze, there was a shining spot on the ground. Upon closer inspection, it was a Saraira. The little guy cheered. "It really is as Master said." Before making a move, Lin Feng already told them that this 24 Heaven Arhut formation is open and above board. It only has the effect of trapping and killing the enemy. The formation itself doesn't have any confusing properties. When Huiku placed the formation, he scattered the Saraira. After the Saraira landed on the ground, according to a certain pattern, their position won't move. Remember the positions of these Saraira, and you can find them after entering the formation. It's just that the attack power of this formation is too strong, transforming into 24 golden Arhuts with the strength of Foundation establishment stage cultivators. As soon as the enemy enters the formation, they will be surrounded and attacked from all sides. They basically have no power to find and destroy the Saraira that is the eye of the formation. Now that Lin Feng attracted the attention of the formation, and Huiku, Xiao Yin, and the little guy instantly found a chance to search for the Saraira. The Saraira landed on the ground, but it didn't stay still. Instead, it deeply embedded itself into the ground and emitted a faint golden radiance, dyeing the surrounding ground gold. Xiaoyan lifted his foot and forcefully stomped on the golden ground, emitting a low, muffled sound. From the rebounding force, this golden ground was even harder than fine iron. It was clear that it was affected by the magic power within the Saraira. The two brothers looked at each other. Xiaoyan nodded. "Do it, I'll protect you." The little guy took out the golden paper and approached the Saraira. As soon as he approached, the Saraira immediately emitted a Buddhist sound, as if it was warning him. Good stuff, good stuff. The little guy was happy and revealed two sparkling little canine teeth. He shook the golden paper in his hand and covered the Saraira. As soon as the golden paper touched the Saraira immediately calmed down. The little guy's following actions were even more violent. Both of his hands spread open and his two claws grabbed the ground, forcefully digging a hole in the ground. The little guy used strength with both of his hands and dug out a piece of soil, like pulling out a radish. With a forceful slap, the piece of soil that was still emitting a faint golden radiance and was as hard as fine iron was immediately smashed to pieces by the little guy. Only the Saraira remained unharmed, silently falling in the middle of the golden paper. Xiaoyan looked at this scene, and the corner of his mouth twitched. The entire process was as if a man who looked harmless on the outside used the most gentle, most polite, and most harmless method to trick a girl into drinking a knockout drug. After she fainted, he immediately revealed his true appearance and forcefully executed the girl on the spot. You guys sure have guts. Hui Ku's angry shout entered his ears, following that a huge golden arhut suddenly charged in front of him and threw a punch towards the top of the little guy's head. As soon as Xiao Yin woke up, he immediately followed the method Lin Feng taught him and activated the Thundershock staff, facing the golden arhut. When the golden arhut's fist came into contact with the Thundershock staff, the Thundershock staff immediately exploded with a dazzling Buddhist radiance. As the Buddhist radiance circulated, the golden arhut's movements instantly became hesitant. Half of the power he struck out was retracted by itself. The remaining half of the power couldn't do anything to the Thundershock staff. This Buddhist magic item displayed a powerful defensive ability and directly deflected the house-sized fist. At this time, the little guy had already used the golden paper to completely wrap the Saraira. The golden paper isolated the Saraira's Buddhist radiance, and the magic power within the Saraira was instantly sealed, unable to leak out at all. Hui Ku was dumbstruck. This 24-heaven Arhut formation of his was incomparably powerful. If one had to talk about flaws, other than the formation being unable to move, it would be the 24 Sarairas as the eye of the formation. Not a single one could be missing. As long as one Saraira was missing, the formation would collapse. The Sanskrit sounds disappeared by his ears. The sandalwood fragrance also gradually dispersed, and the faint golden haze also dispersed with the wind. The 24-heaven Arhut formation that once made Elder Vulture and the other two Foundation Establishment stage cultivators unable to retaliate was broken just like that. Xiao Yin and the little guy were also a bit dazed. They didn't think that it would actually be as Lin Feng said, that the formation was broken so easily. Lin Feng secretly let out a sigh of relief. His two disciples didn't know that he was actually walking on a tightrope again. Only this time he succeeded again. Success couldn't be separated from many calculations and a large amount of luck. First of all, Hui Ku himself was trapped by the tainted blood, and more than half of his energy was used to clean up the tainted blood. He didn't have much energy to control the 24-heaven Arhut formation. Otherwise, he would be able to discover Xiao Yin and the little guy's little movements at the first moment and stop them in time. Secondly, because of the system's hidden benefits, it made Hui Ku unable to see through Lin Feng's true level of cultivation and subconsciously treated him as a great enemy. Not mentioning the fact that this attracted all of Hui Ku's attention. At the start, Hui Ku also didn't dare to use his full strength to attack fiercely and only used an Arhut to test the waters, allowing Lin Feng to successfully withstand this most crucial first wave of attacks, and buy time for Xiao Yin and the little guy. Then, just as Lin Feng expected, the Thundershock staff and the golden paper, Buddhist magic tools indeed easily resonate. Under the situation where Hui Ku, this manipulator, didn't affect them too much, they successfully resisted the formation attack and collected the Saraira. Finally, and also the most important point, it's still because Hui Ku was invaded by the tainted blood and his own strength was greatly damaged. Otherwise, even if his formation was broken, with Hui Ku's Foundation Establishment stage cultivation, Lin Feng still wouldn't be his opponent. These are all Lin Feng's winning factors. Without any one of them, he wouldn't be able to complete his plan. Of course, without any one of them, Lin Feng would definitely continue to patiently wait for an opportunity and wouldn't take the initiative to find Hui Ku. If he dares to make a move, then he has the confidence to succeed. Lin Feng turned his head towards the little guy and Xiao Yin and said, "Collect the other Saraira as well." The little guy instantly became joyful and wandered around, practically treating this place as his own vegetable garden and continuing the happy task of pulling out carrots. He quickly collected the remaining 23 Saraira, and along with the first one, he handed them all to Lin Feng. Seeing his lifeblood land in Lin Feng's hands, Hui Ku's eyes gradually became blood red, and he madly roared, "Bastard ox nose!" Under his shock and anger, his own mana instantly became unstable. The cyan flames were unable to suppress the tainted blood, and the Buddhist light protecting his body was instantly broken through by the tainted blood. Lin Feng looked at Hui Ku, whose entire body was covered in tainted blood, and inwardly made a peace sign. He had the little guy collect the other Saraira to purposefully anger Hui Ku. If this big monk was directly dissolved by the tainted blood, then that would be the best. But Hui Ku was destined to disappoint him. This irascible big monk suddenly calmed down and retracted all of the mana protecting his body, allowing the tainted blood to cover his entire body and crazily corrode the mana he painstakingly cultivated for many years. Hui Ku was also unmoved and only coldly stared at Lin Feng. At this moment, the craziness, irascibility, and anger on Hui Ku's body all disappeared, and only icy killing intent remained in his gaze. Lin Feng inwardly cursed. Sure enough, Hui Ku coldly said, "This poor monk is destined to go to hell, but before I leave, I will definitely drag you along with me." The next moment, an astonishing mana fluctuation exploded from Hui Ku's body. A small black hole actually appeared above his head, and everything around the black hole was sucked in. Countless dust, sand, and even the tainted blood in the Nether Blood River beside, Hui Ku all flew into the air and flew towards the black hole. Under the enormous suction force, even Xiao Yin and the little guy couldn't stand steadily. Their feet left the ground and were actually going to be directly sucked into the black hole. Hui Ku madly roared, "Evil demon, take this poor monk's final attack. Extreme samsara, enter the gate of samsara together and go to hell." Before he even finished speaking, a streak of incomparably resplendent and incomparably violent pure white lightning had already arrived in front of him, blasting Hui Ku, who had already exhausted all of his mana, into a bloody mist that filled the sky. Northern Aurora, a mystic light. Lin Feng extended his right hand and made a shooting gesture with his fingers, then brought it back to his lips and lightly blew. "I was just waiting for you, damned Baldy." Chapter 46. Hui Ku lost the 24 Heaven Arhut formation, and he himself was also invaded by the most evil and filthy blood in the world. In his rage, he actually used a method to perish together with Lin Feng, using the secret Buddhist ability Extreme Joy Samsara, wanting to drag Lin Feng down with him. Lin Feng was already on guard. He has always been paying attention to Hui Ku's movements. Seeing this monk actually disregard the corrosion of the filthy blood and retract his protective mana, he immediately knew that the other party is going to play with his life. The Northern Aurora sword immediately attacked. Before Hui Ku's spell had even completely unfolded, a beam of incomparably tyrannical lightning first struck this monk to death. Hui Ku is already dead. The black hole above his head instantly lost control and became chaotic. Lin Feng felt the spiritual energy within the underground palace suddenly become chaotic. His expression couldn't help but change slightly, shouting towards his two disciples, "Both be careful." Before his voice landed, the black hole exploded with a loud bang, mixing together with the impure spiritual energy within the underground palace and actually producing an effect similar to the teleportation formation, teleportation. Under the effect of the void turbulence, Lin Feng was dizzy, Strong light flickered in front of his eyes, the scenery continuously changing. Before it was still a surging river of blood. The next instant, it was a pitch-black cave. In just a second, the scenery in Lin Feng's line of sight changed quite a few times, as if an incomparably long time had passed, but in reality, it was only a few seconds. The dizzy Lin Feng heavily fell onto the ground. Lin Feng shook his head, only coming to his senses after a while. Raising his head to look, he discovered that he was currently in a tunnel. Who knows how far he was teleported? He couldn't hear the surging and roaring of the Nether Blood River. Presumably, he was teleported very far away. His two disciples are also not by his side. Looks like they were teleported to another place in the void turbulence. Lin Feng laughed bitterly. This is a bit troublesome, but it's not that there isn't any good news. Lin Feng weighed the storage bag in his hand, his face revealing a smile. In the chaos, his eyes and hands were quick, grabbing Hui Ku's storage bag. That monk's savings have now all become his spoils of war. Of course, the most important spoils of war were the 24 relics. Lin Feng found the diagram of the 24 Heaven Arhut formation in Hui Ku's storage bag. It was a thick booklet, and there were quite a few diagrams. There were quite a few corrections on the first few pages. Presumably, Hui Ku himself often pondered over it and continuously improved the formation, which was why it had the power it had today. This formation diagram, together with the 24 relics, could be used to arrange the 24 Heaven Arhut formation. However, Lin Feng needed to first refine these relics, remove Hui Ku's mana imprint, and add in Lin Feng's own. Only then would he be able to use them freely. Other than the formation diagram, the storage pouch also contained the art of Akala that Hui Ku cultivates. Lin Feng took a look, and sure enough, it was a complete set of scriptures, only lacking the general principles at the beginning. Lin Feng smiled. The first half of the scripture in his hands, plus Hui Ku here, it was a complete version of the art of Akala. There were also a number of other pills. Even though they were what Lin Feng needed, there weren't any particularly attractive good goods. After all, the Great Thunder Monastery had already been destroyed 20 years ago. Even if Hui Ku brought out any precious pills from the monastery, he would have eaten them himself. The only thing worth noting was that Hui Ku actually brought 2 pill recipes. One was the Thunderous Great Returning Pill. It was the Great Thunder Monastery's world-famous holy healing medicine. It had miraculous effects in treating injuries to the body, reviving the dead, growing flesh and bones. The other one made Lin Feng salivate. The barrier-breaking pill specialized in helping cultivators break through bottlenecks in cultivation. The bottleneck of a small realm. After taking the barrier-breaking pill, you would immediately break through from training chi to foundation establishment, from foundation establishment to golden elixir. Taking this pill would also greatly increase the success rate. It was just that the ingredients needed to make these 2 pills were all extremely precious, and the success rate wasn't high. 1. Lin Feng didn't know how to make pills. 2. He didn't have the ingredients, so he could only look enviously. Put it away. When the time comes, I'll get it to that brat, Xiao Yin to slowly ponder over. The system said that he has talent in medicine making. It seems like it wasn't boasting. Lin Feng put away the pill recipe. Let's hurry and find a way out. Meet up with the 2 little fellows, then go find Zhu Sai. I wonder how that brat is doing now. Lin Feng didn't think that there would be such a damn thing like spatial teleportation in the underground palace. In the end, not only did he not get his 3rd disciple, he even got separated from the 2 he already had. Fuck, it can't be that after working hard for 50 years, it's all gone back to before liberation in one night. How can I get out of here? Lin Feng was worried in his heart, when suddenly the system's voice rang out in his mind. The host is already close to the side quest item, Black Cloud Flag. It can't be? Lin Feng was stunned. This was really unintentional. He didn't even put much thought into the side quest. Who knew that the 2 spatial teleportations in the underground palace would actually send him to the front of the Black Cloud Flag? This Black Cloud Flag is Taoist He Yun's life weapon, and Taoist He Yun is the one who opened up this Black Cloud underground palace. Lin Feng's heart suddenly moved. and he hurriedly checked the quest again. Because Lin Feng was now close to the Black Cloud flag, the quest description also added a description of the Black Cloud flag. Black Cloud flag, Taoist He Yun's life weapon, refined from Taoist He Yun's famous spell, Heaven's Great Shift. It can teleport in a short distance, attack and defense in one, and it can also carry people in flight. It has endless uses. Lin Feng's eyes lit up. So that's how it is. There are always sudden spatial teleportations in this underground palace. I'm afraid it has something to do with this Black Cloud flag. If I can obtain the Black Cloud flag, leaving this underground palace will be as easy as turning my hand over. Maybe it can even help me find those 3 little fellows. Even though there's a way out, Lin Feng became even more careful. The Black Cloud flag being nearby means that the Netherblood River is also nearby, and it's also in this underground palace, where the source of the Netherblood River is. Sure enough, as Lin Feng walked forward for a while, he heard the sound of rolling water coming from the distance. After a few turns, he reached the end of the tunnel. Exiting the tunnel, what appeared in front of Lin Feng was an enormous underground lake. Only that this lake is not water, but full of Blood River true water. A nauseating stench assaulted his nostrils, almost making Lin Feng faint. In the air above the lake, there's a pitch-black crack that is a crack in space. Space is like a piece of paper. Everything else is the scenery on the painting, and this crack is as if a hole was forcibly torn open on the paper. From within the crack, extremely foul, smelling blood continuously flowed out, falling into the lake below like a waterfall. On the surface of the lake, this dense, dark red blood energy pervaded the air. Standing here, without even really coming into contact with the foul blood, Lin Feng felt his mana become sluggish. Just that dense blood energy can practically pollute Lin Feng's mana. Lin Feng looked at the blood lake beneath his feet, thinking that there is a passage at the bottom of the blood lake. The source of the Netherblood River, when he met Hui Ku before, should be here. Just that he doesn't know where that blood river flows to. The system notification sound rang out once again. This time it directly pointed out the location of the Black Cloud flag for Lin Feng. Lin Feng composed himself, preparing to first collect this magic tool. Boring. Just as Lin Feng was preparing to collect the Black Cloud flag, a sentence suddenly rang out beside his ear. Immediately after, there was the sound of jade items shattering on the ground. Lin Feng was shocked in his heart. There was actually someone else here, and he didn't sense anything at all before. Looking towards the source of the voice, he saw a white-clothed youth wearing a green bamboo hat leaning against a large rock, holding an exquisite white jade cup in his hand, staring at Lin Feng with a smile that wasn't a smile on his face. Lin Feng's pupils abruptly contracted. Not far from the bamboo hat youth, a large pile of white jade fragments piled up on the ground, like a small mountain. Silently flowing between the crystal-clear fragments, there was still quite a bit of dark red wine, looking a bit similar to the foul blood in the Netherblood River. The bamboo hat youth raised the white jade cup in his hand, the delicious grape wine in the cup. He only drank a mouthful, then smacked his lips, looking up at the sky and sighing, "Boring. Before he finished speaking, the white jade, cupped together with the wine in the cup, fell onto the ground together, becoming a member of that pile of fragments. The corner of Lin Feng's eyes twitched. Right now, this pile of pure white jade fragments and the fine wine flowing within. In his eyes, it was like a mountain peak. A mountain peak constructed from gurgling fresh blood and ghastly white bones. The bamboo hat youth flipped his palm, and an identical white jade cup appeared in his palm. The cup was already filled with fine wine. He shook the wine cup in his hand, turning his head to look at Lin Feng, grinning, the white pockmarks on his face jumping together. "Looking at your attire, you're the Taoist who gave the Blaze Sword sect a hard time? You don't look like much." Chapter 47. This bamboo hat youth's body exudes an aura that makes Lin Feng feel an extreme sense of danger. A voice in Lin Feng's heart is continuously shouting, "Run, run, run." This is completely a kind of biological instinct, an instinctive warning when encountering a situation that could kill you. Lin Feng has to continuously force himself to be able to ensure that his body stays where it is and not immediately turn around and run. The bamboo hat youth does not conceal the mana fluctuations on his body, telling Lin Feng that he is facing a golden elixir period cultivator. And it's also a golden elixir period cultivator that is even stronger than Elder Li of the Blaze Sword sect. Lin Feng bitterly smiled in his heart. Even though I pretend to be a master in front of my disciple, that's because I have no other choice. In the end, I'm still just a small shrimp at the Chi disciple stage. Don't keep sending this kind of golden elixir period opponent. I really can't take it. The flying swords of the Shu Mountain Sword sect disciples are all different, but the scabbards are all engraved with the same landscape pattern. Like the flame robe of the Blaze Sword sect. It's a symbol of identity that everyone knows. Lin Feng naturally also recognized it at a glance, trying to find happiness in bitterness, he thought. Yin Mingyue, Hui Ku, plus this guy in front of me. I can't believe that in a short few months, I've run into all the disciples of the 3 holy lands in the world. Even though his calf is a bit cramped, Lin Feng still secretly clenched the Saraira in his palm, ready to risk his life at any moment. It's impossible for him to resign himself to death. Lu Yang drank the fine wine in the white jade cup in one gulp, jumping up from the large rock, tilting his head looking at Lin Feng. Didn't you say that you also brought a child? Where is he? Lin Feng was originally preparing to cast the 24 Heaven Arhut formation, but hearing Lu Yang's question, he suddenly had a thought, having an even better idea. After planning it out in his heart and feeling that there aren't too many loopholes, Lin Feng started his performance. Child, what child? Lin Feng revealed a respectful and submissive expression, his face blank. Lu Yang frowned. Don't put on an act. It's that 3 or 4-year-old child that you brought along with you when you fought with the people from the Blaze Sword sect. Lin Feng's expression was shocked. Even though I have little experience, I have also heard of the name of the Blaze Sword sect. They are one of the members of the 9 Heaven Sword Alliance, one of the few sword sects in the world. How would a small wandering cultivator like me dare to provoke them? When Lu Yang heard this, he looked him up and down suspiciously. It's this outfit. Lin Feng's face was full of a bitter smile. I am only a Chi disciple level 10 cultivator. How would I have the guts to provoke the Blaze Sword sect? While speaking, Lin Feng released his mana fluctuations. Casually using his palm, his mana crushed a rock. Lu Yang naturally didn't care about this level of magic power, but he could clearly determine the depth of Lin Feng's cultivation. However, he still felt strange in his heart. You didn't make a move, but I can't see through your cultivation level. Lin Feng smiled awkwardly and said, I inadvertently obtained a little thing that can hide my cultivation level. He swallowed his saliva, a fawning smile on his face, and took out a ribbon from his chest and handed it to Lu Yang. Please have a look. The ribbon is actually the most common item, but after Lin Feng took out the ribbon, he took the initiative to release his mana, making Lu Yang think that the reason he couldn't see through his cultivation level was indeed because of the ribbon. Lu Yang took the ribbon and couldn't feel any formations operating within it. After testing it himself, he was also unable to hide his cultivation level. He looked suspiciously at Lin Feng, but right now Lin Feng no longer has any secrets in front of him. He is clearly Chi disciple level 10. Why didn't it have any effect when I used it? Lu Yang asked. Maybe it's because my cultivation level is low. Lin Feng said embarrassedly. It's just a little smokescreen. It's not worth a Mount Shu Sword Sect cultivator to take it to heart. Lu Yang smiled. You know I'm from Mount Shu Sword Sect? Lin Feng's eyes glanced at the scabbard at Lu Yang's waist and smiled. Mount Shu Sword Sect, the world's #1 holy land for the way of the sword. Its reputation is like thunder to the ears. No matter how ignorant I am, I naturally know. Lu Yang curled his lips, completely losing interest in Lin Feng. Boring. He paused and then asked, Have you seen a young Taoist dressed like you in this underground palace with a 3 or 4-year-old child? Lin Feng shook his head blankly. Lu Yang asked, Then what are you doing in this underground palace? I came out to train and accidentally entered this underground palace. Lin Feng answered a little guiltily. Lu Yang sneered, boundless killing intent spreading out, piercing Lin Feng's body so much that his whole body trembled. Don't be angry, don't be angry, don't be angry. Lin Feng hurriedly said, I actually heard that there's a treasure under this underground palace, so I wanted to try my luck and see if there's any opportunity. Treasure? Lu Yang was a little surprised. What treasure? Lin Feng answered honestly. Rumor has it that 1,000 years ago, this was the cave abode of wandering cultivator Taoist He Yun. After Taoist He Yun died in the Blood River, his life-bound immortal artifact, the Black Cloud Flag, was left in this cave abode. Lu Yang curled his lips. Taoist He Yun? I've never heard of him. He seems to be a cultivator of the Golden Elixir period. A Golden Elixir period immortal artifact, it's nothing much. Lin Feng smiled. Great Immortal is powerful, so of course you don't care. It's just that I heard that this Black Cloud Flag has the ability to move through the void. It must be very rare, so I wanted to try my luck. Move through the void? Lu Yang was finally interested. Magic arts and immortal artifacts that could move through the void were very rare and had endless uses. Even he was tempted. Lu Yang carefully sensed for a moment, then said with a frown, I can't sense the existence of any treasure here. Lin Feng sneaked a glance at the blood lake at the side, unable to speak. Lu Yang noticed his actions and laughed. The thing is in this nether blood river? Separated by the true water of the blood river, it's indeed hard for my mana to probe. But he looked at Lin Feng with a smile that wasn't a smile. How do I know if you're lying to me or not? How about this? You go down and look for it for me first. I originally had the intention to search for treasure, but when I found out that the treasure was actually in the Nether Blood River, I was in a dilemma. I was unwilling to leave, but I didn't dare to go down. Lin Feng hurriedly shook his head. With my insignificant cultivation, how can I withstand the corrosion of the tainted blood in the Nether Blood River? I'll turn into dregs in a moment. His face was full of fear, looking at the Nether Blood River below, like avoiding snakes and scorpions. Seemingly, in order to stay as far away from the tainted blood as possible, Lin Feng climbed onto a stone beam, sticking out from the cliff above the blood lake with a swish, looking at the surging Nether Blood River below with a face of fear. Lu Yang laughed out loud. This true water of the Blood River is the most evil and filthy thing in the world. It can contaminate all magic power and artifacts. It's indeed incomparably vicious, but unfortunately it can't stump me. Even if the thing is really under the Nether Blood River, it doesn't matter. Instead, it can make me less bored. However, Lu Yang looked at Lin Feng with a cold smile. It better be that there really is something down here, otherwise I'll make you regret being born in your mother's womb. Lin Feng revealed an expression of sincere admiration on the surface. Treasures can only be possessed by those who are capable. It's the will of the heavens for you to obtain this treasure. For me to be able to watch from the side is already the fortune of 3 lifetimes. Lu Yang laughed proudly. Lin Feng had a smiling face at the side, but he was laughing coldly in his heart. I'm watching from the side. It's just watching how you die. Chapter 48. Amidst his laughter, Lu Yang waved his hand, and 9 blood-red banners flew out. Lin Feng's line of sight looked at the 9 blood-red banners flying in the air and landing above the blood lake. These blood-red banners actually resonated with the tainted blood in the blood lake. The tainted blood in the lake slowly undulated like it was alive, breathing in and out, containing a strange rhythm. And those blood-red banners fluttered in the air without any wind, unfolding and fluttering. The rhythm was actually the same as the tainted blood in the lake. Both sides resonated even more, jumping even more intensely and clearly. These 9 blood-red banners were actually refined from Blood River true water. Lin Feng said in his heart, "This is a genuine magic item of the demonic path. I didn't think this kid actually had this up his sleeves." Lu Yang looked at Lin Feng from the corner of his eyes, laughing weirdly, saying, "This is a magic item I obtained from a demonic cultivator I killed a few days ago. It was refined from the tainted blood in this nether blood river. Looking at the 9 blood-red banners fluttering above the nether blood river, Lin Feng's expression did not change. Cold sweat had already appeared on his palms. This guy's cultivation is high enough, and he also has this kind of magic item in his hands. If it wasn't for him scheming against me, I'd be dead for sure today. But no matter how crafty you are, you still have to drink my foot-washing water. Lin Feng stood on the stone beam, bowing respectfully. Immortal horse, I wish you success in advance. Lu Yang smiled non-committally. He's just arrogant, he's not stupid. But the problem is that Lin Feng's Qi disciple level 10 cultivation right now. To him, in the golden elixir period, he's really just like a secular mortal. He can crush him with one finger. Lu Yang would naturally put in some effort against an opponent whose strength wasn't too far apart. But the difference between the two sides was so huge that he could easily crush him with just strength. Lu Yang was too lazy to use his brain again. Other than this nether blood river in front of me, there's nothing else that can pose a threat to me. Right now, with these 9 blood river banners forming a formation to protect me, I'm not afraid of the tainted blood contaminating my mana. It's absolutely safe. Thinking up to here, Lu Yang snorted and stepped forward, directly stepping into the blood lake. Lin Feng stood on the stone beam. He looked calm on the surface, but he was actually extremely nervous. Now that Lu Yang had entered the blood lake, Lin Feng let out a sigh of relief. He looked at Lu Yang calmly, standing in the center of the blood lake with 9 blood-red banners around him, blocking the surging blood. Lin Feng secretly curled his lips. You really think this is your home field? The moment Lu Yang entered the blood lake, the lake filled with filthy blood immediately boiled as if it was boiling. From time to time, huge blood bubbles would burst. Smiling, Lu Yang's expression relaxed. He raised his hand and formed a spell. The 9 blood river banners around him swayed together, and a faint, dark, purple blood light flowed on the surface of the banners. As the bloody light flowed, it gradually fused together and went deep into the nether blood river beneath Lu Yang's feet. In an instant, the boiling blood lake showed signs of calming down. Seeing this, Lu Yang couldn't help but smile and look up at Lin Feng. Lin Feng was also smiling, but it was completely different from the humble and submissive smile from before. His smile was incomparably wanton and ostentatious. Lu Yang's expression darkened. What are you smiling about? Lin Feng smiled and said, I'm smiling that the good show has just begun. The best is yet to come. Speaking, Lin Feng forcefully stomped his foot, heavily stepping on the stone beam he was standing on, directly shattering the stone beam. Countless stone fragments fell towards the blood lake like rain. Lu Yang's brows furrowed, an expression of shock and anger appearing on his face. But very quickly, his eyes narrowed into slits, suddenly discovering that after Lin Feng stepped on the stone beam, a skeleton and a black flag were actually revealed in the stone beam. The skeleton emitted a faint golden light. Lu Yang knew that this was the result of a golden elixir period cultivator passing away. The mana of the golden elixir did not dissipate and fused with the corpse, similar to Buddhist relics. However, Lu Yang was more concerned about the jet black flag. The black flag looked extremely ordinary. Not a trace of mana fluctuations flowed out from it, to the extent that Lu Yang didn't notice its existence at all. This flag was precisely the black cloud flag that Lin Feng wanted to take. The black cloud flag was not at the bottom of the blood lake, but on the stone beam directly above the blood lake. Seeing the skeleton and the black cloud flag, how could Lu Yang not know that he was tricked? But before he could react, after Lin Feng stepped on the stone beam, he immediately grabbed the flagpole and pulled out the black cloud flag from the stone beams. This pull by Lin Feng was like throwing a spark into a pot of oil. The entire underground palace rumbled and shook, as if the heavens were falling and the earth was splitting. Lu Yang's expression changed greatly, wanting to fly out of the blood lake. Who knew that the nether blood river that was still under his control a moment ago would also suddenly rebel? Countless amounts of tainted blood shot into the sky like a volcanic eruption, and at this time, the originally ordinary black cloud flag also emitted intense mana, fluctuations. Black light flowed, revealing its original appearance. Seeing this scene, Lin Feng silently laughed. What he expected was not wrong. The Nether Blood River is not an ordinary river. Its specialty is to pollute and devour all living beings, so it is extremely dangerous. Once it travels through the netherworld and into the human world, it will cause a huge disaster and do evil everywhere. But after such a long time, the Nether Blood River did not spread towards the surface and was instead forced to flow underground. The reason is because of Taoist Master He Yun's remains and this black cloud flag. Even though Taoist Master He Yun is a wandering cultivator, his feelings of bemoaning the state of the universe and pitying the fate of mankind are worthy of everyone's respect. After he accidentally opened up the spatial crack of the netherworld and caused the Blood River to invade the human world, he did not evade responsibility and used his own strength to seal the gap in the Blood River. If it wasn't for Taoist Master He Yun's remains magic tool suppressing this Blood River tributary, don't mention this underground palace, the Nether Blood River would probably have flooded the Great Zhou's imperial city long ago. For many years, the remains magic tool and the Nether Blood River have formed a wonderful but fragile balance. Both sides have always been in a stalemate. That's why the Black Cloud Flag's mana did not leak out, and Liu Yang during the Golden Elixir period was also unable to detect its location, because the Black Cloud Flag's mana was all cancelled out by the Nether Blood River. Now that Lin Feng pulled out the Black Cloud Flag and lost the mana suppression of the Black Cloud Flag, the Nether Blood River immediately roared out like a ferocious beast coming out of its cage. Liu Yang was flustered. The tainted blood around him was like a monstrous flood about to drown him. Right now, the 9 Blood River banners were like flickering candles in the wind. Not only were they unable to help Liu Yang, they were instead like wanderers returning home, about to throw themselves into the embrace of the Nether Blood River. What Liu Yang trains in is in the end not the Blood River secret technique. When the Nether Blood River was calm, he could still rely on the Blood River banners to protect himself, but now that the Blood River has entered a berserk state, he instantly fell into a dangerous situation. Liu Yang's eyes were scarlet red, staring at Lin Feng. Taoist die. Not caring about the blood water that had already madly tainted his mana, Liu Yang patted his sword sheath, and a sword aura, even more berserk than the Blood River, shot straight at Lin Feng above his head. The most overbearing Shaoshang sword of Mount Shu's 6 Meridian swords is also the most overbearing sword technique in this world. Before the sword aura even leapt out of the sword sheath, Lin Feng already felt himself being enveloped by an extremely cold, killing intent, as if even his soul was about to be frozen. He couldn't even stop a thought in his heart. Don't dodge. Dodging is useless. With such a strong sword aura, you will die without a doubt. When the sword aura really appeared in front of him, Lin Feng, who was intimidated by the sword aura, felt his thoughts stop even more, unable to even think. The sword aura didn't touch his body. Just the wind brought by the sword wanted to cut him into pieces. If he wasn't prepared, Lin Feng would definitely die under Liu Yang's hateful strike without any suspense. But right now he faintly smiled and even had the leisure to wave goodbye to Liu Yang. Friend, you really are a good person. If it wasn't for you, I would still be having a headache about how to seal this Nether Blood River after pulling out the flag. Thank you. Speaking, the Black Cloud Flag in Lin Feng's hand lightly waved. A black light lit up and already broke through space, sweeping Lin Feng away without a trace. No. Liu Yang looked at Lin Feng, disappearing on the spot in near despair. His violent and overbearing sword aura could only cut the air. The next moment, he was already engulfed by the sea of blood that filled the sky. If I don't die, even if I chase you to the ends of the earth, I will cut you into 1,000 pieces. The air seemed to still be reverberating with Liu Yang's furious roar. Lin Feng picked his ears, first properly replaced the Black Cloud Flag, and helped me suppress that Nether Blood River. He originally didn't expect to kill Liu Yang so easily. Otherwise, after taking away the Black Cloud Flag, it would be his headache from the overflowing Nether Blood River. Right now, it's pretty good. with Liu Yang as a scapegoat. In order to protect himself, he can only desperately suppress the rapidly rising blood river, while the nether blood river became Liu Yang's cage. Lin Feng sighed from the bottom of his heart. Good person. This kind of good person who benefits others, but not himself, is really too rare. Otherwise, how happy and beautiful of a world would this be? As for whether or not this guy will break free one day, it's temporarily not something that Lin Feng can control. To Lin Feng, this is both pressure and motivation, urging him to raise his strength as soon as possible. The most important thing right now is to first find his 3 pitiful disciples. Chapter 49. Lin Feng played with the black cloud flag that had already shrunk to the size of a palm. This is the first golden elixir period magic item that he obtained. Even though it was tainted by the nether blood river, and its power is less than 30% of its peak, but even so, it's still an incredible magic item. It's stronger than all of the magic items that Lin Feng currently has. Even the Northern Aurora Sword is a bit inferior. The Black Cloud Flag has both attack and defense, and even has the ability to teleport short distances. It's really useful. More importantly, it's different from the Northern Aurora Sword. This Black Cloud Flag is a golden elixir period magic item. The inside of it has its own spell formation that absorbs the spiritual energy of heaven and earth to nourish itself. When Lin Feng uses it, it instead doesn't consume as much mana as the Northern Aurora Sword. It's just that how to purify the tainted blood on the flag in the future and let it recover its original luster is a headache-inducing thing. Right now, what makes Lin Feng even more happy is the system notification sound that rings out his mind. The host has obtained the Black Cloud Flag, completing the Black Cloud Underground Palace random side quest. Reward 500 exchange points. Lin Feng smiled. Before figuring out the rules of the lottery system, he was actually more interested in exchanging points. Compared to the lottery system that relies on luck, the clearly marked items in the exchange system are still a bit more reliable. You can buy whatever you want. Of course, the prerequisite is that you have enough exchange points. After thinking for a moment, Lin Feng wasn't in a hurry to exchange and instead decided to save up his points. According to his experience, if he can take in a 3rd disciple, other than one lottery chance, the system will also reward him with 500 exchange points. Lin Feng is prepared to save up a bit more points, and when the time comes, he'll directly do a big job. Just as he guessed before, the Black Cloud Flag, as Taoist master He Yun's life-bound magic item, is indeed closely related to this Black Cloud Underground Palace. The mana within the magic item is inextricably linked to the flow of spiritual energy in the Underground Palace. After Lin Feng used his own mana to refine the Black Cloud Flag, his mind communicated with the flag. A detailed map of the Black Cloud Underground Palace instantly appeared in his mind. It'll be easier with a map. Lin Feng nodded his head, thinking in his heart, I wonder if I can confirm the location of Zhu Yi and the others. As soon as he thought about it, 3 dots appeared on the map. Lin Feng was overjoyed. He knew that these 3 dots of light represented Xiao Budian, Xiao Yin, and Zhu Yi respectively. But what surprised him was that the 3 dots of light were actually gathered together, which meant that his 2 disciples were with Zhu Yi. Lin Feng did not feel happy. Instead, he frowned slightly and gave another order to the Black Cloud Flag. Is there anyone else around the 3 of them? As soon as the command was given, 5 bright spots lit up on the map. Each of them was extremely dazzling, and they surrounded Zhu Yi and the others. Lin Feng sighed. The situation might be even worse than he expected. Where is Liu Yang? A huge dot of light appeared on the other side of the map. The brightness was even more intense than all of the previous dots of light added together. Only this huge dot of light that represented Liu Yang was currently flashing nonstop, presumably because Liu Yang was currently competing with the Netherblood River. Lin Feng's brows furrowed tightly. Indeed, as he expected, the brightness of the dot of light indicated the cultivation level of the target. The brightness of Liu Yang's dot of light was the strongest, matching with his golden elixir period cultivation. Zhu Yi's dot of light was the weakest, Being surrounded by 5 large dots of light, it was almost impossible to see him clearly. Xiao Budian and Xiao Yan's brightness was about the same, but it was also a bit weaker. Those 5 large dots of light very likely represent 5 foundation establishment stage cultivators. This means that not only Zhu Yi, even Xiao Yan and Xiao Budian have fallen into the hands of others. No matter if the other party is the Society of the Strong Gale or the House of the Marquis of Xuanji, is not good news for Lin Feng. I hope they aren't injured. Lin Feng waved the black cloud flag, disappearing on the spot. When he reappeared, Lin Feng had already teleported to where Zhu Yi and the others were. With the help of the black cloud flag, it was as if Lin Feng had become one with the Black Cloud Earth Palace. Only Golden Elixir period cultivators like Lu Yang and Huang San could discover his existence. These foundation establishment stage cultivators are unable to detect him. Lin Feng did not show himself right away. He planned to first look at the situation. With this look, Lin Feng couldn't help but be a bit dazed. The scene of his 3 disciples being captured and tortured in all sorts of ways, and then remaining strong and unyielding, did not appear in his imagination. In the tunnel, Xiao Budian and Xiao Yan both had calm expressions, currently chatting and laughing with the 6 cultivators of the House of the Marquis, walking towards the surface together. Only Zhu Yi, even though he was a bit dispirited, his mood was still very normal. He also did not receive any reproach, following behind everyone and moving forward. Huang San was killed by Lu Yang. These cultivators of the House of the Marquis were all a bit at a loss. Lu Yang witnessed the reality of them being together with Zhu Yi. In this kind of situation, if they still stubbornly insist on killing Zhu Yi and push the blame onto the Society of the Strong Gale, then it won't be so easy to fool them. It looks like Lu Yang won't care about this kind of small matter, but if the news spreads outside, then it would be very bad. For the sake of face, the Marquis of Xuanji will definitely kill them to accompany Zhu Yi in death. Out of this consideration, after the 6 people discussed for a while, they finally decided to bring Zhu Yi back like this. At least it can be considered a merit. But who would have thought that in the underground palace they would meet Xiao Budian and Xiao Yan, who were separated from Lin Feng? Up until today, Xiao Budian is only 4 years old at the very most. His Qi disciple level 6 cultivation is as eye-catching as a firefly in the night. The shock he brought to this group of foundation establishment stage cultivators was even greater than the Blaze Sword sect in Wuzhou City. At that time, Xiao Budian was still only Qi disciple level 4, and he stunned Elder Li, who was in the Golden Elixir period. Right now, Qi disciple level 6 cultivation, coupled with a clean and cute child appearance. The huge contrast made this group of foundation establishment stage cultivators lose their ability to think for a short period of time. Then they came to their senses, this kind of seedling with shocking potential. If they don't pull him into their sect, then the ancestors of the sect would be so angry that they would jump out of their ancestral graves. No matter if it's the purple, fine-clothed, middle-aged man or the 5-5 elements sect cultivators, they all surrounded Xiao Budian with a face full of smiles. In comparison, the strength of the current Qi disciple level 7 of Xiao Yan, who is already 15 years old, is not very eye-catching. After the matter of the Blaze Sword sect, Xiao Budian has a clear understanding of his own situation and knows that there are a lot of people who covet his talent. It's just that he still has the heart of a child, but his mind is actually very mature. These days, he has been following Lin Feng, and the little guy has become even more slippery. Facing the group of foundation establishment stage cultivators surrounding him, Xiao Budian did not have any stage fright. His 2 big black eyes turned around, revealing a pair of shiny little canine teeth, saying with a smile, "Hello, uncles and grandpas. Junior Yu Hao greets you." Xiao Yan's gaze flashed, also saying extremely politely, "Junior Yu Yan greets seniors. You?" Even though these cultivators come from different sects and masters, they all work in the House of the Marquis of Xuanji and are very knowledgeable. Hearing Xiao Budian and Xiao Yan call themselves Yu, the first reaction in their minds is the Yu family of the Great Qin dynasty, one of the 4 big families of the Great Qin dynasty. The yellow-clothed old man, leading the 5 people of the 5 elements sect, asked with a smile. Little friend, your surname is Yu. Are you a disciple of the great Qin dynasty's Yu family? Xiao Budian nodded his head forcefully, saying with a smile, Yeah, old grandpa, how do you know we're from the Yu family? You know people from my family? Like thunder piercing my ears. Too bad we don't have the luck to meet. The smile on the yellow-clothed old man's face became a bit more sincere, but in his heart he was extremely disappointed. People from the Yu family are not easy to steal. The Yu family, that is ranked as one of the 4 big families of the Great Qin dynasty, can also be considered to have a widespread reputation in this heaven primal world. Of course, it can't compare to the 3 Holy Lands, but like the Blaze Sword sect, they are both overlord-level forces within the borders of the Great Qin dynasty. The Yu family's foundation may not be as good as the Blaze Sword sect that has existed for tens of thousands of years, but because they are blood relatives, their cohesiveness is stronger than that of sect. The 6 foundation establishment stage cultivators looked at each other, all secretly calling it a pity. With this little guy's talent, even the Yu family, he is definitely the most precious treasure. Don't mention their sect. Even if the Mount Shu Sword sect and the Great Illusionary sect came to ask for him, they would also be rebuffed. A middle-aged cultivator of the 5 elements sect secretly transmitted his voice to the yellow-clothed old man. The Great Qin diplomatic group indeed arrived at Tianjing City a few days ago. Could there be people from the Yu family among them? This child came over with his family's elders? The yellow-clothed old man did not bat an eyelid, still smiling as he asked Xiao Budian, Why are you guys here? Xiao Budian replied with a face full of innocence. I came out to play with my clan brother and saw a cave from afar, so we came in to take a look. Who knew that we couldn't get out? Old grandpa, can you bring us out? Chapter 50. Me and my clan brother came out to play together and saw a cave in the distance, so we came in to take a look. Who knew we couldn't get out? Grandpa, can you bring us out? In the dark underground palace tunnel, the little guy's sweet child voice rang out. Lin Feng, who was quietly following behind them, smiled and shook his head. This little guy really knows how to play dumb and act cute. He casually took out a small cloth bag and put the Yu family inside. Don't look at how this devilish brat looks obedient. In his heart, he's probably thinking about how to sneak attack other people. He himself also needs to be more careful in the future and not be fooled by this stinking brat's harmless appearance. This devilish brat can really cause trouble. When a yellow-clothed old man heard the little guy's question, he smiled and said, We just happen to be returning to Tianjing City, so we can bring you guys back on the way. Your family must be anxiously waiting. When he said this, his gaze was tightly fixed on the little guy. The other 5 also did the same. The little guy blinked his big black eyes, his gaze revealing a joyous expression as he cheered. That's great. Xiao Yin, who was at the side, also revealed an expression of saved. The 6 cultivators of the House of the Marquis secretly nodded their heads. Looks like these 2 brats did not seem to be in disguise and are indeed people from the Yu family. What they didn't know was that Xiao Yin and the little guy had already agreed on this a long time ago. If they encounter trouble, they will use the Yu family's name. Even though the 2 of them have never seen the real Zhu Yi before, they have both heard Lin Feng describe his appearance before. Therefore, they recognized Zhu Yi at first glance. And very clearly, even though these 6 people are cultivators of the House of the Marquis of Xuanji, they are not friendly. Bringing Zhu Yi is like escorting a criminal. The 2 of them looked at each other and wanted to save Zhu Yi at the same time. Only the vast as the sea of mana fluctuations of the 6 people told them that these 6 people are all foundation establishment stage cultivators. Don't mention 6 together. Even if there was only one person, the 2 of them together wouldn't even be able to beat them with one hand. Thinking about what the yellow-clothed elder said about their family waiting in Tianjing City, the little guy secretly complained. He didn't know that someone from the Yu family actually came to the Great Zhou Empire in Tianjing City. Xiaoyan glanced at him from the corner of his eyes, hinting for him to calm down. Xiao Budian composed himself, then moved in front of Zhu Yi and curiously asked, Little big brother, Are you also following your elders out to gain experience? The yellow-clothed old man laughed. The others also laughed. Their smiles were very strange. Someone laughed and said, "Little friend, he's different from you. He's just a scholar who secretly learned Tao techniques." When Zhui heard this, he raised his eyebrows and calmly said, "Although I didn't do it willingly, just from the results alone, it can be considered an experience." He paused for a moment, then said in a clear voice, "The key is that it broadened my horizons." The yellow-clothed old man frowned slightly. He was inwardly furious. He knew that Zhu he was referring to the matter of Huang San being instantly killed by Lu Yang. Xiao Budian did not care what the broadened horizon Zhu he was referring to. Right now, he was a bit curious as to why his master would take a fancy to this green-robed scholar as a disciple. At this time, the purple-clothed middle-aged man who had been silent all this time suddenly raised his head and said in a deep voice, "Something's wrong. There's a problem." Everyone was startled. The purple-clothed middle-aged man first stared at Xiao Budian. "You cultivate enlightening Tao techniques." Then his gaze turned toward Xiao Yin. "You cultivate in fire Tao techniques." The other foundation establishment stage cultivators also reacted. They all used their magic power to secretly investigate and discovered that it was indeed the case. Each and every one of their faces sunk. The yellow-clothed old man slowed down his voice and said, "The Yu family's water Tao technique, the mysterious underworld art, is world famous. Why don't you too cultivate your family's Tao techniques?" Xiao Budian and Xiao Yan's hearts slightly sunk. They didn't think that they would reveal a flaw here. The two's minds quickly turned, and Xiao Budian calmly replied, "Whatever Tao technique my master passes on to me, I'll just learn it." The yellow-clothed old man's face sunk. "A bunch of nonsense. If you really are a direct descendant of a Yu family, how could you take someone else as your master?" "Because his master is stronger than the Yu family." A calm voice faintly sounded, and Lin Feng slowly walked out, appearing in front of everyone. Xiao Budian and Xiao Yin simultaneously revealed a smile and bowed towards Lin Feng. "Disciple greets master." The yellow-clothed old man frowned. "Your words aren't small. May I ask where you are from?" Zhu Yi looked at Lin Feng, and his gaze revealed a hint of surprise, but he didn't say anything. But Lin Feng took the initiative to find him. He carefully sized up Zhu Yi for a long time and sighed, "I almost missed you before. I really didn't think that you were actually Bing Yun's son. You've already grown so big." When these words were said, Zhu Yi was instantly dumbstruck. The cultivators of the house of the Marquis all looked at Lin Feng blankly. Only that yellow-clothed old man was tongue-tied. "You actually know Meng Bingyun?" Out of the 6 people, only this old man vaguely knew Meng Bingyun's background. The other 5 all thought that she was a concubine of the Marquis of Xuanji and didn't even pay attention to her specific name. Lin Feng didn't pay attention to the old man and only looked at Zhu Yi, minding his own business. "That day when I went to Qingyang Mountain, it was to visit an old friend in front of her grave. I accidentally met you, but we didn't know each other. Afterwards, I asked the old monk in the temple, and only then did I know that you're Bing Yun's son." Lin Feng said emotionally, "It's very good that you can often go visit your mother's grave. The world has already forgotten Meng Bingyun, but she's still left behind something precious in this world." The rims of Zhu Yi's eyes slightly reddened, bowing and saying, "Even though I've never heard my mother mention you before, but my mother has passed away for so many years, and you still remember her. Zhu Yi thanks you in my mother's place." Lin Feng's gaze stared straight at Zhu Yi, slowly saying, "Back then I promised your mother that if you're willing, I can take you in as my successor and pass on all my cultivation to you, helping you step onto the path of immortality and live a carefree and unfettered life. Zhu Yi, are you willing?" Zhu Yi's face revealed a contemplative expression. Lin Feng didn't rush him, calmly standing where he was. But the cultivators of the house of the Marquis became anxious. Starting from the leading old man, they all stared angrily at Lin Feng, loudly reprimanding him. Young Master Zhu is the son of the Marquis of Xuanji. Who he chooses as his master, what path he walks in the future, what kind of life he lives, naturally the Marquis will arrange it for him. Young Master Zhu only needs to follow. The Marquis arrangements are always the best. The Marquis of Xuanji, Marquis Zhu is his father. Not to mention that Meng Bingyun has already died. Even if she's still alive, she's only a concubine by the Marquis side. She has no right to interfere with the Marquis decisions. The Marquis of Xuanji is Marquis Zhu's father. Not to mention that Meng Bingyun has already died. Even if she's still alive, she's only a concubine by the Marquis side. She has no right to interfere with the Marquis decisions. You Taoist, leave quickly. Even though the world is big, there's no place for you to hide if you anger the Marquis of Xuanji. Lin Feng didn't even look at them. His gaze was always focused on Zhu Yi. At this time, he turned his head and lightly swept his gaze across the people. While I'm talking to people, maintain silence. Finishing, Lin Feng casually waved his hand. A dazzling golden light flew into the air, lighting up the dark tunnel. Boundless mana engulfed the entire area. Chapter 51. As Lin Feng waved his hand, a golden light flashed and enveloped the entire tunnel. Everyone was stunned. Suddenly, they smelled a faint scent of sandalwood. Their vision was filled with dazzling golden light, and their ears were filled with the sound of Buddhist chanting. It seemed to come from the distant sky and also from the bottom of their hearts. Accompanied by the chanting of Buddhist chanting was Lin Feng's calm words. Although Zhu Hongwu is Zhu Yi's blood relative, he has never done his duty to teach. He only knows how to restrict others' bodies and minds with etiquette and rules to satisfy his own desire for control and selfishness. As a father and a husband, he has no right to interfere with Zhu Yi's choice of path. Zhu Yi is the son of my old friend. Whether he becomes my disciple or not, I will not sit by and watch others suppress his development. This child has his own path. He should choose it himself and be responsible for it. Lin Feng's calm but powerful words fell into Zhu Yi's ears. Zhu Yi, who had always been determined, felt a burning sensation in his heart, and the block that had been stuck in his heart for many years disappeared. The middle-aged man in purple robes had a gloomy expression. He shouted, "Die!" He raised his hands, and 9 halos flew out, targeting Lin Feng. Zhu Yi had seen the middle-aged man's attack before. He knew that those who were covered by his halos would not be able to move and could only be captured obediently. At this time, seeing him use the same trick to deal with Lin Feng, he could not help but remind him, "Hide, don't be hit by the light." Lin Feng was calm and said slowly, 24 Heaven Arhut formation, open. The Saraira released before shone brightly, and the golden light became more dazzling. It connected and turned into a thick fog of light, covering the entire tunnel. The scent of sandalwood filled the air, and the sound of Buddhist chanting was deafening. A giant hand reached out from the golden haze and swept away the 3 halos with a single slap. Then, a golden Arhut shadow stepped out of the mist of light. The huge figure of 100 feet tall took 2 steps and was already in front of the middle-aged man. A fist the size of a house smashed down on the middle-aged man's head. The middle-aged man snorted coldly. His hands changed signs, and the 9 halos suddenly connected in a straight line in the air, like a long sword stabbing at the Arhut's head. The golden Arhut chanted the name of Buddha, put his palms together, and clapped toward the center, clamping the halos that had formed a line. The Arhut changed again, and the 9 halos connected one after another, like a chain, and then drew an arc, binding the Arhut. At this moment, the 9 halos connected from head to tail, forming a huge halo, trapping the Arhut in the middle. The golden Arhut exerted its strength to break free, but the circle of light seemed to be elastic. It kept expanding and shrinking, dissolving the Arhut's immense strength. It was unable to break free. The middle-aged man sneered. "I thought you were very capable, but you're only SOSO." The five elements sect cultivators also showed disdainful smiles. The yellow-robed old man stroked his white beard and said with a smile, "So you're a remnant of the great Lane Temple. It's a pity that you haven't learned Taoist magic well enough." Boom! Another pair of huge Buddha palms stretched out from the fog of light. The second Arhat appeared and followed closely behind him, and the third, the laughter of the cultivators from the Marquis mansion stopped. Ouch! The yellow-robed old man was so shocked that he accidentally tore off a few strands of his beard and grimaced in pain. The middle-aged man looked at the two 30-meter-tall giant Arhat shadows that rushed out of the fog of light in horror. They stood on both sides, and together they grabbed the halos that were binding the first Arhat. Buddha is merciful. With a low shout, the three Arhats exerted their strength together and directly tore the halos apart. With his life artifact destroyed, the middle-aged man spat out a mouthful of blood, and without a sound, he fell backward. Lin Feng asked with a smile, "Who are you? You're only SOSO?" One of the five elements sect cultivators shouted, "3 against 1. What's there to be proud of? The 5 of us here will destroy your Arhat." Lin Feng chuckled. "You mean you're bullying me with numbers?" The cultivator shouted, "So what if I am?" "Nothing." Lin Feng clapped his hands lightly, and one after another, golden Arhats appeared from the fog of light. The 30-meter-tall Arhats' heads reached the top of the tunnel, and they looked like they had an unparalleled pressure. And when 24 such huge Arhat shadows appeared in the tunnel together, it immediately produced a terrifying pressure that blotted out the sky and the sun. Looking up, the cultivators from the Marquis mansion couldn't see the stone walls or the top of the tunnel at all. They could only see the huge bodies of the golden Arhats. 24 golden Arhats, 24 Foundation establishment cultivators. When such a lineup appeared in front of the five elements sect's cultivators, they almost collapsed. They stared blankly at the other party surrounding them. In the fog of light, Lin Feng chuckled. "Bullying me with numbers? Hee hee." The yellow-clothed old man's face was livid, but he was still able to maintain his composure. "Don't panic. This should be a formation. We'll be fine as long as we charge out of the formation." The other 4 people also calmed down. The 5 of them made a spell together. In the light of the Buddha formation, a 5-color divine light flashed here. Different from the formation they used against the Society of the Strong Gale before. This time, these 5 people were serious. The 5 of them simultaneously spat out a mouthful of blood essence filled with their own vital energy into the air. The blood essence landed in the 5-color divine light and quickly evaporated, and the 5-color divine light changed. The originally 5 distinct pillars of light fused together at this moment, turning into a ray of black light. The black light was like a piece of black satin. A thin crack suddenly split open in the center. The yellow-brown soil slowly flowed out from the crack, condensing into a ball and spitting out a tender green leaf bud, rapidly growing against the wind. The surrounding air magically froze into drops of sparkling water droplets, sprinkling onto the leaf bud and blossoming into a gorgeous burning flower of flame. The stamen of the flower of flame flickered with a faint golden radiance. The next moment, a tiny golden longsword swiftly shot out from the stamen, gracefully streaking across the space. The sword light was tiny, seemingly unremarkable, but was filled with destructive power. The destructive power of this ray of sword light was not the slightest bit weaker than a golden elixir talisman. Lin Feng, who was hiding in the mist of light, did not care at all. With a thought, the Buddha light above the heads of the 24 Arhats flickered, connecting into one and transforming into a golden wheel, smashing towards the sword light. It was as if a thin and delicate longsword had encountered a giant axe that could split the heavens and the earth. In a long cry that sounded like a crying cry, the longsword was directly chopped into pieces by the giant axe that was both comical and tragic. The 5 of them spat out blood together. The yellow-clothed old man roared, "Run! Everyone that can escape counts." Hearing this, Lin Feng smiled and said, None of you should even think about escaping. Arhut's furious gaze suppressed the heavens. Suppress. 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 The 24 golden Arhats shouted at the same time, and 48 shining golden hands pressed down together. Amidst the screams, all the cultivators of the five-element sect were killed by the golden Arhats. The middle-aged man in purple who had fainted on the ground suddenly jumped up from the ground, ignited a talisman in his hand, and roared, "You will pay the price." The talisman was ignited, and flames flashed in the air. The middle-aged man stretched out his finger and wrote a big Buddha character in the air. After a pause, he wrote another U character. Lin Feng's heart slightly moved, but he did not stop him immediately. He paused for a moment, waiting for the two characters Buddha and U to burn together with the talisman, turning into a flash of light that pierced through the air, then manipulated the Arhut formation to kill the middle-aged man. Lin Feng's heart was filled with joy as he swept away the 6 cultivators in the Foundation establishment stage with unparalleled power. Although he had already dealt with 2 Aura's core stage cultivators before, it was only because he had narrowly escaped with his life, and he had to resort to trickery to pass the test. Unlike this time, it was completely fair and square, and he used his own strength to crush his opponent, winning to his heart's content. Lin Feng said in his heart, "Sure enough, improving one's own strength is the most important thing." These 24 relics were really good things. They provided enough mana to supply the formation without consuming Lin Feng's mana. So Lin Feng, who was in the Qi condensation stage, could also use an overbearing formation like the 24 Heaven Arhut formation. After putting away the relic formation, Xiao Yin and Tiny Tot walked forward and saluted again. "Master." Tiny Tot grinned and flattered. "Master is so awesome." Lin Feng smiled and patted his little head, then turned to look at Zhu Yi, who had a calm expression. By now, Zhu Yi had completely calmed down and bowed to Lin Feng. "Thank you, Taoist priest, for saving me from trouble." Lin Feng looked calm and did not say anything. He knew that Zhu Yi still had something to say. Sure enough, after a moment of silence, Zhu Yi continued, "I have a question, and I hope Taoist priest can dispel it for me." Lin Feng waved his sleeves. "Just say it." Zhu Yi took a deep breath and slowly asked, "May I ask, in Taoist priest's heart, in this world, is reason the most powerful or power the most powerful?" Lin Feng carefully looked at Zhu Yi's eyes. The green-robed scholar's eyes were calm and firm. Obviously, he had his own answer. Chapter 52. Zhu Yi asked solemnly, "May I ask, Taoist priest, in this world, is reason the most important or power the most important? Without power, your reason cannot be upheld. Just having power without reason is nothing but violence to bully the weak." Lin Feng smiled calmly. "What is the most important in this world? Those with power speak reason, and this reason is the most important." Zhu Yi's eyes exploded with a shocking look. "That's right. If I had the power of Taoist priest, I would definitely dare to argue in front of my father. What is the most important in this world? What is the most important reason? Father and son can argue with each other. Even the emperor and his subject can argue with each other. If the emperor makes a big mistake, he will admonish him. If he repeatedly refuses to listen, he will change his position. My father's submission to reason deviates from the original meaning of a scholar. However, I don't have the strength to truss a chicken. How can I win against him with these reasons? If the emperor makes a big mistake, a scholar has to admonish him. If the emperor repeatedly refuses to listen and stubbornly goes his own way, then you have to abdicate. This is the principle of a scholar. Unfortunately, without power, I can't uphold these reasons. Just as Master said, having power and reason is the right way." After saying this, Zhu Yi lifted the hem of his robe, knelt on the ground, and kowtowed heavily. "Master, please accept me." Zhu Yi is willing to cultivate under Master, to learn Tao, and to learn reason. Lin Feng secretly let out a long sigh, the third one. All the hard work these days is worth it. After officially accepting Zhu Yi as a disciple, a third column of information appeared in the disciple system, belonging to Zhu Yi. Name, Zhu Yi. Age, 15 years and 3 months current cultivation. Guiding Qi into the body, about to enter Qi disciple level 1 potential attribute. Bone aptitude, 7. Comprehension, 9. Will 8. Luck, 10. Recommended education plan. It is recommended to cultivate Thunder Dao techniques or Buddhist Dao techniques. As for divine abilities, it is recommended to focus on Dharma spells as the main direction of development. Lin Feng thought about it. Even though he has the Ksitigarbha Sutra and the art of Akala, these two top Buddhist Dao techniques, he still decided to teach Zhu Yi the Nine Heavens Thunder technique. There was no other reason than that he has more lightning attribute spells and techniques in his possession. Matching them with the Nine Heavens Thunder technique would be more beneficial in actual combat. This is your eldest senior brother, Xiao Yan. He is also my current head disciple. Lin Feng pointed at Xiao Yan, then pointed at Tiny Tot. This is your junior brother, Shi Tianhao. Originally, he was the first disciple I accepted, but he was very lazy and volunteered to be my junior. Zhu Yi looked at Xiao Yan, and his eyes flashed. He bowed and said, Zhu Yi greets eldest senior brother. Xiao Yan used his arms as a pillow behind his head and said with a lazy smile, No need to be so courteous. We are fellow disciples. No need to be so courteous. Zhu Yi faintly smiled and still very solemnly cupped his hands towards Tiny Tot. After a pause, he said, Junior brother Tianhao. Tiny Tot grinned and bowed towards him. Sure, Tianhao greets second senior brother. Zhu Yi gave him a deep look and didn't say anything else. He thought in his heart, people say that there is no beginning or end to learning. Those who have reached first come first. Compared to this Tiny Tot, I'm too far off. I must work hard to catch up and then surpass him. Only then can I be a role model for senior brother. After the three of them finished their greetings, Lin Feng finally opened his mouth and said, Master travels the world and won't stay in Zhou Dynasty for long. I also don't have any plans to stay in Tianjing City for long. What plans do you have? If you want to stay in Zhou Dynasty, Master can pass down Dao techniques to you and come back to see you regularly. Zhu Yi seriously pondered for a moment and replied, The ancients say that reading 10,000 books is not as good as walking 10,000 miles. Disciple is willing to follow Master to travel the world. After a pause, he lightly said, Disciple doesn't plan on participating in this year's imperial examinations. But 3 years later, I hope Master will allow Disciple to return to Tianjing City to participate in the imperial examinations. Lin Feng smiled, knowing that other than participating in the imperial examinations to fulfill his wish, Zhu Yi also has the thought of returning to his hometown to argue with his father, the Marquis of Xuanji. Entering my sect, you only need to follow the rules of my sect. Master will never restrict your personal freedom. Lin Feng immediately smiled and said, It's still the same words. You have to rely on yourself to walk your own path, make your own decisions on your own matters. Zhu Yi smiled and said, Disciple understands. Lin Feng immediately brought his 3 disciples and left the Black Cloud Underground Palace. Standing at the entrance of the Underground Palace, Lin Feng felt regret in his heart. I have the Black Cloud flag. This underground palace is like my own home. If there wasn't the Nether Blood River causing trouble, it could actually be my base of operations. A pity, truly a pity. Just like the previous 2 times, taking in Zhu Yi as a disciple, the reward the system gave was also a chance to draw and 500 exchange points. Lin Feng still saved up the exchange points. He already had his eyes on a good item in the exchange system. It's just that it's not cheap, so he needs to save up a bit more money. Anyways, after robbing Hui Ku and those 6 cultivators of the House of the Marquis, Lin Feng obtained a lot of pills that help with cultivation. Even though he added Zhu Yi's mouth now, it's still enough. Lin Feng entered the lottery system. Let's see if I can get anything good from the lottery this time. This time, Lin Feng hopes to get a martial path ability. Zhu Yi is suitable for cultivating spells, Cloud Dragon Escape, and 9 Heaven Thunder summoning are enough for him to learn for a while. As for Xiao Yin, who is suitable for dual cultivating spells and martial arts, up until now, Lin Feng still hasn't truly taught him a type of martial path, not to mention Xiao Yin, who is suitable for cultivating the martial path. Old Vulture's White Bone Hammer is actually a refinement of a martial path ability called Continuous Bone Hammer. The old man himself is good at the martial path, but he's old and his Dao realm is unable to increase. His qi and blood are gradually declining. That's why he used his own martial path to refine this magic item, White Bone Hammer, to defend against enemies. Continuous Bone Hammer is actually not bad, but taking into account the art of Akala that everyone knows comes from the Great Thunder Temple, if Lin Feng always teaches some other sex abilities and spells to his disciples, it will inevitably make them have second thoughts. That's why Lin Feng still hopes to get a martial path ability whose origin is not so clear, but whose power is also passable. If he can't get it from a lottery, Lin Feng will probably have to reluctantly spend his exchange points to exchange for a martial path from the system. Green Wave Palm? Not bad, but it doesn't have much potential. Thunderous Arhut Fist? The martial path that the monks of the Great Thunder Temple build their foundation. Not good, not good. Not to mention the low grade. Everyone knows that it's the martial path of the Great Thunder Temple. Very unlucky. The 3 abilities that the roulette system got are all spells. The 3 abilities that the die system got are all martial paths. Unfortunately, they're either not strong enough, or they're the signature martial paths of other sects. People can recognize them at a glance. The third one? Divine Vulture Palm. Thousands of years ago, the unaffiliated cultivator Master Vulture became famous as a martial path, but after Master Vulture passed away, it's been lost. This is not bad. At least his luck isn't too bad. Looking at the description of the third martial path, Lin Feng's eyes lit up. Divine Vulture Palm is placed in the 8th grid, which means that if Lin Feng rolls the die, he has to roll an 8 pips to get this martial path. The number is very auspicious. It's you. With a thought from Lin Feng, the 3 dice immediately started spinning. Just like last time, the 3 dice still didn't stop at the same time, but stopped one after another. Very soon, the first die stopped. A big 6 was pointed upwards. Lin Feng's heart immediately turned cold. Just the first die already had a 6 pips. If he wants to get the 8 pips Divine Vulture Palm, then he needs to roll the last 2 dice to only have a 1. A little more won't do. The probability is really too low. The second die soon stopped too. It was exactly a 1. Lin Feng was greatly relieved. Staring at the last die, he thought to himself, just one, just one. At the same time, he glanced at the items waiting to be selected. The first 2 dice had a total of 7 pips, so after the last die landed, the total number of pips that could appear would be 8 to 13. Number 8, Divine Vulture Palm. Number 9, there was nothing. Number 10, a green panacea for detoxification. Number 11, a golden thunder talisman that can only be used once and is not bad. Number 12, a mysterious box with a question mark. Number 13, Wait, mysterious chest? Lin Feng slightly froze, just as he was thinking about it. He saw that the third die had already landed. Lin Feng swallowed and looked at it, only to discover that the face of the third die was a 5. 6 plus 1 plus 5, 12. Lin Feng looked at the mysterious chest that had already appeared in front of him, his heart filled with a myriad of emotions. Speaking of which, his luck could not be considered bad, a total of 4 draws, and 2 of them were special prizes. But who knew what would come out of the box? What Lin Feng urgently needed now was a reliable martial path supernatural power. With a perturbed heart, Lin Feng opened the box, and 3 light spots flew out. Lin Feng was stunned. Then he saw the first light spot fly in front of him. When the light faded, a fiery red elixir landed in Lin Feng's palm. 9 turns infernal soul pill, condensed from the essence of heaven and earth fire. It is hot but not hot, and has a miraculous effect in treating frostbite. Lin Feng sighed. I have no use for this thing. Forget it. I'll keep it for now, just in case. He had drawn a special prize, and he hoped that it would not be something completely useless to him. Lin Feng could not help but feel a little depressed. After keeping the 9 turns infernal soul pill, the second light spot landed in front of him, and the light faded, revealing its original appearance. Martial Path, Peerless Flying Sword. 1,000 years ago, the Peerless Sword Sage secretly passed down the Sword Dao. The Peerless Sword Sage used this Sword Dao to challenge Shushan and retreated unscathed. Since the Peerless Sword Sage fell, it has been lost? This was a martial path supernatural power that was even more powerful than the Vulture Divine Palm. Looking at the sword manual of the Peerless Flying Sword in front of him, the depression in Lin Feng's heart was suddenly swept away, and he just wanted to look up to the sky and laugh 3 times. Lin Feng put away the sword manual with a smile, then stared at the third light spot, and his heart was blooming with joy. This time a special prize is awesome. It seems to be a 3-in-1 big gift bag, and I got 3 things at once. I wonder what the third thing is. The light spot landed in Lin Feng's palm, and the light faded. When Lin Feng saw it clearly, he was suddenly stunned. He blinked his eyes, and for a moment, he did not know what to say. Langxian Jade Leaf, the leaf of the Langxian Jade Tree, one of the 4 great spiritual divine trees in the world. Lin Feng was somewhat at a loss. What do I want this thing for? Langxian Jade Tree. Langxian Jade Tree. Isn't this the main body of that demoness Longyi? You have no use for this thing. Why don't you get it to me, okay? While Lin Feng was pondering, an extremely lazy voice suddenly sounded in the bottom of his heart. That was a woman's voice. It was not melodious and crisp, but rather deep and hoarse. But it possessed a peculiar charm, extremely alluring, causing people to willingly sink into a bottomless abyss. But at this moment, Lin Feng's entire body was cold. His face had an expression like he had seen a ghost, and he almost screamed out, "You are Longyi?" Chapter 53. You have no use for this jade leaf. Why don't you give it to me? Long Ye's tone was soft and soothing, as if whispering sweet nothings beside her lover's ear, throwing a tantrum and acting spoiled. But when Lin Feng heard her voice, his back broke out in cold sweat. Only feeling his hands and feet turn ice cold. He immediately determined that the voice actually came from his Northern Aurora sword. Don't tell me this, which has always been attached to my sword. Ever since that time in Stone Village half a year ago, it's already... Countless thoughts flashed through Lin Feng's mind, forcing himself to calm down, slowly opening his mouth and saying, "You're finally willing to speak?" As soon as the words left his mouth, only then did Lin Feng discover that even his voice was a bit hoarse. But he still tried his best to act as if nothing had happened, as if he already knew that Long Yi had always been hiding right under his nose. Lin Feng's consciousness entered the Northern Aurora sword. A white light flashed past, and a figure instantly appeared in his mind. A head of long hair draped over her shoulders, bare feet, clothes whiter than snow, a face so beautiful it didn't seem human. It's precisely Long Yi. Of all the beauty Lin Feng has seen in his life, only Yin Mingwei can compare to her. This pair of old enemies can really be called a pair of peerless beauties. It's a pity that right now Lin Feng completely doesn't have the mood to appreciate beauties. He still remembers that back then in order to save Xiao Budian, he lured Murong Yanran and the others to fight with Long Yi, and then he reaped the benefits, using a Northern Aurora divine light to destroy this Long Ye's Dharma body. At that time, Long Ye's sentence, "I'll remember you," was still ringing in his ears, making Lin Feng shudder. Long Yi lightly laughed. "I really can't see through you. Hey, just what level of cultivation do you have?" Lin Feng took a deep breath and said, "Back then, I was merciful and spared your life. Looks like you still haven't learned your lesson." Long Yi smiled and said, "I've learned my lesson. That's why I haven't made a move to kill you even now." Lin Feng felt a chill in his heart. Then he heard Long Yi continue, "Because I really can't see through you. I think my cultivation is still passable. Even though I'm heavily injured now, my eyesight is still there, but I can't see through you. Let's say your cultivation level is high. You usually use your escape technique to move around, but you're only at the chi condensation stage. You never make a move yourself, and only use this foundation establishment stage magic sword to fight against your enemies. You're also only at the chi condensation stage when arranging formations. Long Yi said softly, could it be that you really only have chi condensation stage cultivation and only possess some kind of treasure that can block off other people's detection? Really, there were a few times when I couldn't help but want to do it. But let's say that your cultivation is low, you can repeatedly toy with the cultivators of the golden elixir period. Dealing with them is like dealing with children. Long Yi sighed lightly. So, I really can't see through you. Lin Feng secretly clenched his fists, pretending to be calm, saying indifferently, how can you see through my depth? Silently looking at Lin Feng, Long Yi suddenly broke into a smile, like the clouds breaking through the moon, stunning all living beings. So, I've changed my mind. I won't find trouble with you anymore. I'll make a deal with you. Lin Feng quickly calculated in his mind, seeing if he could get rid of this, which and thoroughly eliminate any future troubles. While calculating in his heart, Lin Feng casually responded, a deal. I have the Langxian jade leaf that you want. What can you give me? Long Yi combed the hair by her ear, the corners of her mouth revealing a slight smile. You seem to be looking for a disciple that suits your heart. Killing intent surged in Lin Feng's heart, ringing the highest level of alarm. The system is his greatest secret. It can't be known by anyone, because the setting of this unlucky system is very deceptive. If Lin Feng can't complete the main mission, he will be directly erased by the system. If by any chance someone finds out about the contents of his mission and then tries to trip him up, Lin Feng really will have no path to heaven and no door to hell. The 24 relics and the Black Cloud flag are all in place. Lin Feng is ready to act at any time. On the surface, he still acted as if nothing had happened. Seeing an outstanding talent, anyone would be moved. I'm naturally no exception. Long Yi said, oh, but I noticed that the disciples you take in are often talents that were previously buried. Bystanders are unable to discover their uniqueness, but you have discerning eyes. Lin Feng laughed dryly, not replying, but his killing intent was already almost unconcealable. But he heard Long Yi continue. Seeing you taken disciples, I know that you're not a small person. You definitely have plans to establish a sect? No matter if it's you humans or us demons, cultivation requires a suitable blessed land and heavenly abode. If you want to establish a sect, you need a suitable place to establish your sect. I just happen to know of a place. It's still ownerless right now. Perhaps you need it? The mana that Lin Feng had already started circulating was forcibly stopped. He was so depressed that he almost vomited blood. After a good while, Lin Feng finally caught his breath and asked unhappily, where is it? Long Yi smiled and said, you've agreed to my deal? Lin Feng calmed his heart and said calmly, how do I know if what you said is true or false? You and I had a few dirty conflicts before. You don't have the capital to make me trust you. Long Yi rolled her eyes at him, her expression infinitely charming, as if she was acting spoiled to her lover. If you want to increase the price, then just say it. Lin Feng cried out that he couldn't take it anymore, finally stabilizing his mind with great difficulty. Long Yi said, fine, I'll add one more thing. I can give this thing to you first, then you give me the leaf, and I'll tell you where the heavenly abode is. You can go and verify it yourself. No matter what you do, you won't lose out. Are you satisfied like this? Lin Feng's brows furrowed slightly. What thing? Long Yi raised her hand. A small and exquisite stone flute appeared in her white palm. The stone flute exuded a vast and distant aura. Lin Feng's pupils slightly contracted, saying in his heart, this aura, I seem to have come into contact with it somewhere before. Yes, this is the aura of Taishu Temple's Tao technique. I've felt it on Yin Mingwe before. This stone flute is related to Taishu Temple. Thinking of this, the conversation he had with Yin Mingwe that day immediately surfaced in Lin Feng's mind. Yin Mingwe once mentioned that Long Yi has an item in her hands. No matter if it's for herself or for Taishu Temple. She has to find a way to get it back. Yin Mingyue even planned to use this item as the capital for her to return to Taishu Temple and establish herself. Could it be that it's referring to this stone flute? Lin Feng raised his head to look at Long Yi, not saying anything. But from his gaze, Long Yi already understood his doubts, so she nodded. That's right, this is the item that Yin Mingyue is looking for. It's just that I'm also not clear on just what importance this item has to her and Taishu Temple. She tilted her head, looking at Lin Feng with a somewhat mischievous expression. This deal, are you willing to do it? Lin Feng did not say anything, seemingly weighing in his heart. But actually right now his heart is in turmoil, countless thoughts flashing through. This which clearly bears a grudge against me that day. Why can she act as if nothing happened now? There's no way Lin Feng would believe that Long Yi is magnanimous and won't care about past grudges. Other than not being able to figure out Lin Feng's true strength, and thus having misgivings, Long Yi should have other plans. Leaving Lin Feng behind, for her, the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. Where are the advantages? There's only one possibility, and that is to target Yin Mingyue, to target Taishu Temple. A layer of understanding arose in Lin Feng's heart. His and Yin Mingyue's previous probing and continuous secret battles all fell into Long Ye's eyes. From Long Ye's point of view, leaving him behind is leaving behind a possibility of restraining Yin Mingyue. I want to establish the world's #1 sect and become the #1 founder in history. There will inevitably be conflict with the existing large sects, and Taishu Temple will bear the brunt. Lin Feng smiled bitterly in his heart. This which might not know this, but she undoubtedly made the correct choice. Thinking up to here, a flash of inspiration flashed through Lin Feng's mind. Yin Mingyue clearly knew that he secretly learned the Heaven Cage sigil, but did not flare up, other than not being able to see through the depth of his strength. Isn't it also because he has enmity with Long Yi? At that time, Lin Feng hoped that Yin Mingyue would deal with Long Yi. Yin Mingyue might have the same intentions, wanting to borrow Lin Feng to deal with Long Yi. Perhaps Yin Mingyue really wants to get back the stone flute in Long Ye's hands, but she might not fight to the death with Long Yi. On one hand, she's worried that both sides will suffer or even perish together again. On the other hand, she very likely will leave Long Yi behind to restrain Lin Feng in turn. These two women really aren't easy to deal with. But Ji isn't a vegetarian either. Calculating in his heart, Lin Feng made up his mind. Chapter 54. What will you do after obtaining the jade leaf of Langxian? Even though he already has an idea in his heart, Lin Feng still opened his mouth to ask. Yin Mingyue wants to return to Taishu Temple. I naturally also have a place I want to return to. Long Yi smiled faintly. I already said, I don't have any thoughts of finding trouble with you. For your own good, it's best if you don't. Lin Feng said lightly. I accept your deal. We have a deal. Lin Feng believes that if Long Yi obtains the jade leaf of Langxian, she will definitely recover her strength by a large margin. After all, her original body is a jade tree of Langxian. After completing this deal, Lin Feng can also use Long Yi to restrain Yin Mingyue. Lin Feng didn't know whether to laugh or cry. The three of them actually fell into this kind of strange and painful chain of events. Everyone hopes that the opponent in front of them will restrain and deal with the third person. Playing with the stone flute in his hand, Lin Feng thoughtfully looked at Long Ye's departing back figure. In a sense, Long Yi is equivalent to throwing a hot potato to Lin Feng. If used properly, Lin Feng can use this stone flute to obtain enough benefits from Taishu Temple. But conversely, it can also bring disaster to Lin Feng. If the #1 sacred land in the world throws aside all pretense of cordiality and doesn't want to forcefully snatch something, no one in the world would dare say that they can definitely protect it. Lin Feng pondered in his heart the conflict between Yin Mingyue and the new Taoist disciple of Taishu Temple. Maybe it's a condition that he can use? Come to think of it, just what is the use of this stone flute? Why would Taishu Temple care so much about this little thing? Lin Feng inwardly scratched his head. He couldn't feel any strong mana activation from the stone flute. This little thing looks so ordinary. Lin Feng shook his head and withdrew his thoughts. The matter of the cave can also be put aside for later. Right now, the most important thing is still the fourth disciple. Finally, this is the last one. I hope it can be completed smoothly. It will definitely be successful, right? Great Zhou capital city, Tianjing, Marquis of Xuanji's residence in the southeast of the city. A skinny old man stood in the outer courtyard. The old man held a piece of talisman paper in his hand. Two words were clearly printed on the talisman paper. One was Buddha, and the other was you. The skinny old man frowned. Huang San failed, and it has something to do with the remnants of the Buddhist sect and the great Qin dynasty's Yu clan. There was a circle of cultivators from the house of the Marquis, standing in the surroundings. But in front of this old man, they were all respectful and didn't make a sound, for fear of disturbing the old man's thoughts. This skinny old man is the second steward of the house of the Marquis of Xuanji. People call him Second Mr. Tao. The fatty Huang San was sinister like a snake, and there were even people who dared to call him a servant behind his back. But Tao Heir, even a direct descendant of the Zhu clan, had to respectfully address him as Mr. Heir when they saw him. There was no other reason. It was because this old man who looked so thin and shriveled that even a gust of wind could blow him over was strong enough. The Marquis of Xuanji went on expeditions everywhere. This skinny old man would always follow by his side, fighting in battle, scheming and assassinating who knows how many times. The number of opponents that died by his hands, just the number of cultivators in the Golden Elixir period already exceeds 10 digits. In front of him, Huang San is just a child. A moment later, Second Mr. Tao Heir put away the talisman paper in his hand, turning around and walking towards the main house in the back. When the guard saw him, he hurriedly saluted. Second Mr. Tao Heir nodded his head. I want to see the Marquis. The matter is very urgent. The old man entered the main house in the back and came out a moment later. Facing the crowd of cultivators of the house of the Marquis, waiting for him, Second Mr. Tao Heir slowly opened his mouth, but his words were filled with killing intent. 3 things. First, gather people and head to the place where Huang San and the others disappeared. Search inch by inch. You must find clues. Second, capture all the members of the Society of the Strong Gale and the remnants of the Great Thunder Temple within the borders of the Zhou dynasty. Don't let a single one go. Third, follow me to the base of the Qin diplomatic group and ask the Yu family about this matter. Second Mr. Tao Heir slowly said. Every word was heavy. The Marquis's original words were only 2 words. Investigate thoroughly. One day later in Tianjing City, a large house in the west of the city. This is where the diplomatic group of the Qin dynasty lives. In the west courtyard, after seeing off Second Mr. Tao Heir who came to visit, a middle-aged man wearing a sapphire blue gown silently sat on a chair. A young man in front of him said angrily, Zhu Hongwu is too arrogant. His subordinates are missing, and he's actually blaming it on our Yu family. The blue-clothed middle-aged man glanced at him. Tell me, what should we do? The young man replied without even thinking. What should we do? Do nothing. What does this have to do with us? It's obvious that someone is framing us. The blue-clothed middle-aged man looked at him and sighed in disappointment. The young man immediately knew that he answered incorrectly and hurriedly lowered his head. The blue-clothed middle-aged man's expression was calm, but the words he said were filled with killing intent. Someone is framing our Yu family. We do nothing and watch as they shift the blame and splash dirty water on us? The young man came to his senses. What do you mean? The blue-clothed middle-aged man snorted. Whoever dares to offend our Yu family will have to pay the price. He looked at the young man. I'll leave this matter to you. The house of the Marquis of Xuanji will investigate them. We'll investigate ours. I'd like to see who dares to mess with our Yu family. The young man hesitated for a moment. But we're after all on a diplomatic mission to the Zhou dynasty. This isn't our territory, and we don't have enough manpower. The blue-clothed middle-aged man said lightly, "Just contact the main family." His gaze was a bit deep. "Recently, it's really been troubled times. The Sure family side isn't peaceful either. I heard that someone wants to harm Shirtiani. At this time, we can't panic, but even more so we can't do nothing. Otherwise, the opponent will instead swarm over." Near the Black Cloud underground palace, a gray-clothed man stood in an old forest deep in the mountains, wearing a large bamboo hat that covered his face. "There's the aura of a Saraira here. Huiku appeared here before and even fought with someone." The gray-clothed man silently sensed the changes in the surrounding spirit energy. Good. The Saraira wasn't damaged. "Huiku, you evil creature that deceived your masters and destroyed your ancestors. You actually dare to desecrate the remains of your seniors. I will definitely take back the Saraira and let the souls of the masters rest in peace. And you evil creature that desecrates the elders, I will definitely help you." There were countless beasts that smelled the aura of a living person and all gathered towards the gray-clothed man. The gray-clothed man took off his bamboo hat, revealing a shiny bald head. The divine light in his eyes exploded. When the beasts came into contact with his gaze, they all retreated in fright. Some of the weaker ones were actually scared to the point of pissing and defecating, falling limply onto the ground. The gray-clothed monk's eyelids drooped, the divine light receding, and he became ordinary again. Putting on his bamboo hat, his figure flashed, and he already disappeared into the vast sea of trees. The battle at the Black Cloud underground palace caused a commotion in all directions. Lin Feng did not know about this. He did not linger in the Black Cloud underground palace, and instead directly set off with his 3 disciples. He did not know if he had used up all his luck before, but along the way, he actually did not encounter a 4th person that met the requirements for the land. "Don't tell me I have to turn around and find that little girl, Xiao Zhen." Lin Feng felt depressed. He had crossed half of the Great Zhou dynasty's territory and passed through the Great Qin dynasty's territory, but he still did not obtain anything. Time passed quickly, and in the blink of an eye, there was only 1 month left from the 1-year time limit. Right now, the master and disciples were in the Great Qin dynasty's southern border. Although Lin Feng was anxious, he still did not show it in front of his 3 disciples. The master and disciples hurried along while cultivating. On this day, Zhu Yi's cultivation broke through a bottleneck, and he was about to raise his realm. Lin Feng thought about it and left behind Xiao Yin and Xiao Budian to protect Zhu Yi. He himself raised the Black Cloud flag and walked around. Lightly waving the flag, black light flowed, and Lin Feng broke through the void, flying forward. While flying in the void, a dazzling light suddenly lit up in front of Lin Feng's eyes. Where the light disappeared, the surrounding fog was hazy, as if chaos was surging. Everything looked blurry. Lin Feng was shocked. "What's going on?" The Black Cloud flag broke through the void and actually sent me to an alternate dimension. Chapter 55. In a flash of light, Lin Feng rode the Black Cloud flag and actually charged into an alternate dimension. The space was shrouded in mist. Everything was chaotic and indistinct. The mist dissipated, and what entered his eyes was actually an endless void, appearing desolate and distant. In the darkness, there were flashes of light from time to time, but who knows how far away it was from Lin Feng. Lin Feng was bewildered. Just what is this place? While he was bewildered, suddenly a vast mana aura pervaded the surroundings and continuously expanded. The void suddenly ruptured. Lin Feng's eyes were once again filled with a blinding light. When his vision returned to normal, he had already returned to the Heaven Primal World, and looking at his position, he was still on the flight path just now. "I was just accidentally swept into that void." Lin Feng pondered. Turning his head, he suddenly saw a face. This is a tall and big old man with a wide face and big ears, looking rather dignified. He was currently staring at Lin Feng and, sizing him up, his expression extremely perplexed. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat thinking of the vast mana fluctuations he felt in that void. No matter if it is the Blaze Sword Sex Elder Li or the Mount Shu Sword Sex Liu Yang. Even though their mana is vigorous and fierce, but compared to this tall and big old man in front of him, they are not worth mentioning. Lin Feng had a guess in his heart, but he didn't even dare to continue thinking about it, because that would make him completely lose his courage. At this time, the tall and big old man opened his mouth to speak, his voice like rolling thunder. "I'm Xiandao Sect's Pu Beizi. Who are you?" Xiandao Sect? Lin Feng has no impression in his mind. Only after checking the system did he find out that this is a sect in the southern border of the Great Qin dynasty. The strongest expert in the sect is at the Yuanying stage. Without a primordial spirit cultivator, this kind of sect naturally can't be compared to the 3 Holy Lands and the 9 Heaven Sword Alliance. But they have Yuanying stage monsters and can be considered a famous sect in the southern border of the Great Qin. The location of the sect is close to the southernmost star Luo ancient region of the Great Qin. That is the dividing line between the human world and the demon world. Lin Feng said as he looked through the information, "A rogue cultivator from the mountains. Fellow Taoist can just call me Taoist Lin." Without waiting for Pu Beizi to speak again, Lin Feng took the initiative to ask, looking at fellow Taoist appearance, "You seem to be injured?" Pu Beizi didn't answer and carefully looked at Lin Feng for a while, but still couldn't see the depth of Lin Feng's cultivation. Under the immense pressure from the other party, Lin Feng felt like he was a small boat in a stormy sea. One wave after another came crashing at him, threatening to swallow him up at any moment. Putting aside counterattacks, even if the other party didn't make a move, Lin Feng wouldn't be able to hold on for long with just the mental pressure alone. Luckily, Pu Beizi couldn't see through Lin Feng's cultivation even after a long time. Feeling worried, he withdrew his Fa Li, and Lin Feng felt much better. "That's right, I was injured by someone in the void battlefield. But don't worry, I'll be able to recover after a period of seclusion." Pu Beizi's face faintly flashed with green air. It was obvious that the enemy had used Ice-type Fa Li to invade his body. Lin Feng's heart moved slightly. Void battlefield? It seemed that the void world that he had entered before was the void battlefield. Lin Feng had heard of the void battlefield before. It was an independent space outside of the great heaven primordial world. It was alone in the sky and had a vast area. Although human powerful cultivators had always been exploring it, there were still many areas of the void battlefield that were still unknown. There were many rare cultivation resources in the great heaven primordial world in the void battlefield, but the space inside was turbulent and extremely unstable. It was very dangerous. Even if cultivators in the golden elixir period entered, they would most likely die. So normally, only powerful cultivators in the Yuanying or primordial soul stage would enter to search for treasures. Even so, the unknown dangers and mutual attacks caused many powerful cultivators to die in that part of the void battlefield. At the same time, Stone Village's old village chief had mentioned before that the little guy's birth father and grandfather frequently entered the void battlefield. It was to the extent that back then, it was precisely because his grandfather went missing in the void battlefield that his parents went to rescue him, causing the little guy to encounter a great disaster. This Xiandao Sect's ancestor, Pu Beizi, was clearly one of the people who entered the void battlefield and suffered a loss inside. Lin Feng said nonchalantly, "Void battlefield? Although there are risks, I believe that you have gained quite a lot." Pu Beizi snorted, "It's not just risks. The Hung Yu sect ancestor who went in with me died inside. If it wasn't for you suddenly breaking in and disturbing the void, allowing me to take the opportunity to tear open a crack, I'm afraid this old man's life would have been lost inside." Lin Feng thought about it and took out the 9-turn infernal soul pill he got from the lottery. "It's fate that we met. I see that your injuries were caused by ice magic power. With your magic power, you can heal yourself, but it will undoubtedly waste a lot of time. I happen to have a 9-turn infernal soul pill here. It's very effective in treating these kinds of injuries. I'll give it to you." Pu Beizi was very surprised. He didn't even need to take the pill. With just a glance, he knew that what Lin Feng said was true. He couldn't help but be confused. Why are you giving it to me? Although he said that, this old man was really overbearing. He grabbed the pill without any hesitation. Lin Feng smiled faintly. I wanted to give it to you, so I gave it to you. Why are you asking so many questions? Pu Beizi's eyes flashed, and he laughed. I'm too fussy. Okay, I'll owe you this favor. If you have time, you're welcome to visit my Xiandao sect at any time. Lin Feng smiled. Let's talk about it when I have time. Then he turned and left. Pu Beizi was in a hurry to take the pill to treat his injuries, so he naturally didn't keep him. Although he didn't know how useful it would be, a pill that he couldn't use could form a good relationship with a yuanying old monster. Lin Feng was still very happy. When he returned to where his 3 disciples were, the 3 of them were chatting happily. Lin Feng asked, What are you talking about? Xiao Budian smiled and said, Master, we just heard about a strange thing. There's a sect called Hung Yu sect nearby. A few days ago, they opened their doors to accept disciples. A little brother didn't pass the test and didn't join. In the end, he jumped off a cliff on Hung Yu Mountain and wanted to commit suicide. He didn't succeed in committing suicide and was saved by people from Hung Yu sect. I heard that they wanted to make an exception and accept him as an in-name disciple. At the side, Zhu Yi sighed. He's quite persistent and has an unyielding personality. But in the end, he got what he wanted. At least he didn't suffer in vain. Zhao Yin shook his head. If he enters the sect like this, so what if he becomes their disciple? The elders of the sect have no choice but to accept him in order to protect their reputation. They definitely won't teach him carefully. His fellow disciples will also laugh at him for committing suicide to enter the sect. Zhu Yi said, Self-improvement is worth praising. I just hope that he can continue to persevere, otherwise the pressure will only get greater and greater. At first, Lin Feng was just listening to a story, but as he listened, he suddenly felt that something was wrong. This kid, why does he have the attitude of a good-for-nothing, the main character of a normal person? Lin Feng asked. You guys just said that the Hung Yu sect has already taken him in? The 3 disciples nodded together. They just brought him back to the sect. Lin Feng didn't say anything more. He immediately brought the 3 of them to Hung Yu sect. As he walked, he was worried. I must make it in time. If I'm a step late and miss it, who am I going to cry to? Chapter 56. Lin Feng arrived at Hung Yu Mountain, but he was a step too late. All the new disciples were in the middle of the ceremony. The system sounded. Target found, suitable to be the host's direct disciple. Lin Feng searched carefully and confirmed that the system was referring to a youngster at the end of the line. The youngster was small and skinny. He pursed his lips, and all the new disciples around him looked at him with disdain. A series of system notifications sounded in Lin Feng's ears. Talent system organized. Target number 5's information is as follows. Root bone, 5. Perceptive ability, 10. Will, 10. Fortune, 8. Conclusion. Target's talent is lacking, but his potential is huge. Recommended to take him in and teach him carefully. He will definitely become a pillar of the sect. Lin Feng was dumbfounded. What did he see? He saw 2 full values. Out of the 4 attributes of this kid, 2 of them were full values of 10. Perceptive ability was the ability to comprehend cultivation techniques. Xiao Budian and Xiao Zhun both had 8 in their perceptive ability. This meant that they could quickly understand anything they learned. Master only needed to teach them once, and they would be able to understand it by themselves. Xiao Yin and Zhu Yi were even higher. Both had 9 in their perceptive ability. This meant that not only could they learn things quickly, they could also come up with new ideas. And what did 10 in perceptive ability mean? It meant that this kid could learn anything and could use his own perceptive ability to make up for the flaws in cultivation techniques and make them perfect. And what about the will of 10? This meant that this person's willpower was extremely strong, indomitable, and unyielding. No one, no matter what, could defeat him on a psychological level. There were billions of people in the heaven primal world. 1 out of 10 million geniuses was an astronomical number. But in the end, only a small number of them could become talents. The reason was that if Wenzel was not strong enough, it would be easy to waste their talent. 2 full value attributes, coupled with 8 points of luck, made this kid's completely failing root bone not so dazzling. As the system concluded, his talent was lacking, but his potential was huge. Seeing that the apprenticeship ceremony was in progress, Lin Feng's mind raced. What should I do? Should I simply ruin this apprenticeship ceremony? This Hungyu sect is a large sect in the southern border that is on par with the Xindao sect. It's not weak. According to what Pu Beizi said, the Hungyu sect's Yuanying ancestor died in the void battlefield. Right now, the strongest expert here should be in the Golden Elixir period, but I don't know how many in the Golden Elixir period they have. This is the Hungyu sect's mountain. They have the geographical advantage. There is less than a month left until the time limit of the system's quest. Lin Feng's expression flickered, and it took him a lot of effort to calm himself down. Forget it. I'll just contact this kid secretly. What's his name again? Right, Wang Lin. Lin Feng watched as Wang Lin knelt before the Hungyu sect and heard the system's voice change. Target meets the criteria, but has already taken someone else as his master. Must remove the master-disciple relationship before he can become the host's direct disciple. Lin Feng's heart bled. Damn, it was just a day or two. If I had come here a day or two earlier, Wang Lin would have been rejected by the Hungyu sect and would have been mentally and physically hurt. If I had gone out and tricked him a bit, I would have been able to easily take him as my disciple. No matter how much he regretted it, Lin Feng calmed himself down and began to plan. Just as Xiao Yin had analyzed, if Wang Lin used this method to join the Hungyu sect, he would definitely be disliked by his teachers, looked down on by his peers, and not loved by his parents. His sense of belonging to the sect would not be very strong, so Lin Feng still had a chance. As a result, Lin Feng decided to hide in the Hungyu sect. He would not, and did not need to enter those important places. He only needed to find the residence of an unnamed disciple like Wang Lin. The guards and restrictions of these places were extremely lax, so it was not difficult for Lin Feng. When Lin Feng arrived at Wang Lin's residence, he heard a few Hungyu sect disciples mocking Wang Lin. People like you are a disgrace to our Hungyu sect. When it's time for the inter-sect disciple assessment, why don't you try jumping off the cliff again? If you can jump into the inter-sect again by suicide, then you'll have the ability. Wang Lin remained silent and let them mock him. The few of them cursed as they left the room. Only Wang Lin was left in the room. He let out a long breath, lowered his head, and muttered to himself, "Dad, Mom, I will definitely succeed. I want to become an immortal." Lin Feng smiled. His figure flashed, and he was already inside the room. He smiled and said, "In this kind of environment, you won't be able to become an immortal." Wang Lin was shocked and stared blankly at Lin Feng, who suddenly appeared. "Who are you?" Lin Feng gently waved his sleeve and didn't answer. Instead, he asked, "The path of cultivation is a long and bumpy road. There are not many beautiful scenes, but many thorns. Your talent is originally worse than ordinary people. If you don't work hard to catch up, how can you have any hope of success? But in a sect like this, you will only be assigned rough work like fetching water and chopping wood. They say you are a disciple, but you are actually a servant." Lin Feng calmly said, "Your starting point is low, and your speed is even slower. How will you continue on this road?" Wang Lin pursed his lips and looked at Lin Feng in his white robe. After a long time, he said, "Immortal Elder, what do you mean?" Lin Feng let out a light sigh. "I saw you when you were just born. Even though your talent is poor, but you and I are fated. At that time, I already had the intention to take you as my disciple. I originally wanted to come back when you were 16, but I didn't think that you would already enter this Hungyu sect. If you are willing, you can leave the Hungyu sect and become my disciple." Lin Feng said emotionally, "I will definitely teach you with all my heart and teach you all my Tao techniques and abilities. I definitely won't be like this Hungyu sect and order you around like a servant and treat you lightly." At this point, Lin Feng chuckled. "As for my ability, if you want to see it, I will challenge this Hungyu sect in no time. Wang Lin looked at Lin Feng in shock. His eyes clearly became hot. His lips moved as if he wanted to say something, but he suddenly held it back. Not only that, but there was a hint of vigilance in his eyes as he looked at Lin Feng. His right hand subconsciously reached for his chest pocket. Lin Feng was slightly startled. Wang Lin was looking at him like he was guarding against a thief. This was unexpected to Lin Feng. His right hand is reaching for his chest pocket. It seems like he is trying to protect something. Lin Feng's heart skipped a beat. Oh no, this brat's luck is also 8 points. Could he have picked up some treasure? Wang Lin clearly thought that Lin Feng knew his secret and was here to cheat him of his treasure. Lin Feng wanted to cry, but had no tears. It seemed that he was too late. This Wang Lin had clearly started to change for the better. His tyrannical aura was flourishing, and he was about to embark on his own heaven-defying path. Regardless of what kind of transcendental divine artifact it was, or whether there was an old grandpa living in it, Wang Lin was about to hit rock bottom. Lin Feng was depressed in his heart, but his expression did not change. He looked at Wang Lin calmly. Do you think it's inconceivable? It's fine. You can decide for yourself. I will stay in the small town at the foot of the mountain for 20 days. If you have thought it through, you can come to the small town to find me. In a situation where Wang Lin was already on guard, he could not drag things out and pester him. Otherwise, it would trigger his rebellious mentality and make him even more wary. After Lin Feng finished speaking, he used the cloud dragon escape and disappeared without a trace. Wang Lin was stunned and felt a bit regretful. Was I too suspicious? After leaving Hengyu Mountain, Lin Feng's expression was gloomy. As he walked, he thought about how to pull a tooth out of the tiger's mouth and poach a disciple from the Hengyu sect. The spiritual qi in Hengyu Mountain is indeed denser than in our sect. It's more suitable for cultivation. A voice suddenly entered Lin Feng's ears. Lin Feng paused and hid himself. After a while, he saw 2 young men walking up Hengyu Mountain. Soon, this will be our Xiandao sect's territory. The other young man snorted. Our patriarch Pu Beizi returned safely, but their patriarch Hengyu sect died in the void battlefield. It's all fate. Only the strong can live in a good sect or cave abode. They will be moving soon. Looking at the 2 young men disappearing into the forest, Lin Feng frowned and thought silently. With this sudden rise, perhaps there would be a chance. After a while, a bright smile like the spring sun appeared on Lin Feng's face. It's mine. You can't run away. Chapter 57. Listening to their conversation, these 2 young cultivators should be disciples of the Xiandao sect that Pu Beizi was in. Not long after the 2 went up the mountain, they left. Then, some nosy disciples on Hengyu Mountain spread the news that the Xiandao sect would visit in a few days. The disciples of both sides would spar and test their cultivation. The Xiandao sect and the Hengyu sect were close to each other. For thousands of years, the 2 sects had helped each other defend against external forces and the invasion of the demon race. However, at the same time, they also competed in secret. Their disciples often spar with each other. But in this competition, Lin Feng clearly smelled a different aura. The Hengyu sect's Yuaning ancestor died in the void battlefield, while Pu Beizi of the Xiandao sect returned safely. The conditions of the Hengyu sect's cave abode were better. Without the Yuaning ancestor, the Hengyu sect was like a 3-year-old holding a gold brick. Because the Great Qin's southern border bordered the demon race's territory, the demon race and the human race were constantly fighting. As a result, countless caves with abundant spirit qi were abandoned. Thus, a cave abode that was good for cultivation was extremely precious. It was enough for everyone to fight for it. The Hengyu sect occupied the Hengyu Mountain, but they didn't have a Yuaning ancestor. This would probably cause all the sects in the southern border to covet it. The Xiandao sect, which was the closest and also the first to receive the news, would undoubtedly seize the initiative. In front of a good cave abode that could be the foundation of the sect for generations, past relationships were useless. Perhaps Pu Beizi didn't want to completely fall out with them and rob them. Thus, the Xiandao sect would most likely do something special in this spar. For example, add a little wager and bet on the opponent's sect. In just a short moment, countless thoughts flashed through Lin Feng's mind. He faintly felt that his 9-turn flame soul pill might have played a key role in the development of the situation. Without the 9-turn flame soul pill, the first thing Pu Beizi would do after returning from the void battlefield would definitely be to go into seclusion to heal. Only after his injuries were healed would he plot against the Hongyu sect. Who knew how long that would take? It could be a few days, a few months, or even decades. Lin Feng secretly sighed. One drink and one peck, there really is some mysterious fate. I originally only wanted to do a favor to that nascent soul stage old monster, but I didn't think that in the end I would help myself. Whether or not they could help was still uncertain. The Hongyu sect disciples who spread the news only knew that the Xiandao sect would visit in a few days, but they didn't know the exact time. Lin Feng only had 1 month left. If the Xiandao sect came in 2 or 3 months, it would be too late. We still have to prepare for both eventualities. Lin Feng controlled the black cloud flag and flew in the sky. If it really doesn't work, I'll just go and snatch him away. In any case, the Hongyu sect doesn't know Wang Lin's true potential and doesn't value him. If I snatch him away, they might not fight to the death. Returning to his 3 disciples, Lin Feng still had a calm appearance, but he was secretly speeding up his preparations. Late at night, Lin Feng sat cross-legged, slowly doing breathing exercises. The surrounding spiritual energy of heaven and earth quickly gathered around his body and was absorbed into Lin Feng's body, attacking the hidden acupuncture points. Once the acupuncture points were opened, the absorbed spiritual energy would be quickly converted into Fa Li and stored in the acupuncture points. The cultivator's Fa Li would obtain a great improvement. This was a painstaking process that required the cultivator to persevere in doing the boring breathing exercises, tempering the spiritual energy to break through the bottleneck of their body. The essence energy in the Heaven Thunder Moon Jade had already been used up, so Lin Feng could only follow the normal path. In the past few months, his cultivation speed had slowed down, not advancing by leaps and bounds like before. After successfully breaking through to the 11th layer of Qi Disciple, it stopped. Even though the speed was slow, Lin Feng was not anxious. He knew that he walked too fast before, and his foundation was unavoidably unstable. In the past few months, his speed had slowed down, but with his feet firmly planted on the ground, he could clearly feel that he was more proficient in using Fa Li. After a long period of painstaking work, Lin Feng had long since reached the peak of the 11th layer of Qi Disciple. Right now, he was attacking the last acupuncture point. Under his unremitting efforts, the last acupuncture point was finally opened. The originally stagnant spiritual energy that had been deposited here immediately poured down like a flood, pouring into the dried-up acupuncture point, forming a huge whirlpool. The spiritual energy whirlpool became faster and faster, and the spiritual energy in the center continuously converted into Fa Li, nourishing Lin Feng's body. Different from before, when he just filled up his Fa Li, and then it was over, Lin Feng continuously swallowed many spirit-returning pills to recover his Fa Li, incessantly pushing the Fa Li in his body, forming a huge cycle in his entire body. The 12 acupuncture points were all opened, and the whole thing was connected as one. The Fa Li stored in the acupuncture points was no longer isolated as a pool of stagnant water like before, but turned into a surging river, constantly circulating in Lin Feng's body. Lin Feng let out a long breath, and suddenly let out a loud shout, like the roar of a tiger or dragon, lasting for a long time. The sound was enveloped by the black cloud flag's Fa Li barrier, and could not be transmitted outside the house, but Lin Feng was extremely happy. At this moment, all 12 floors were opened, and Lin Feng had reached the peak of the 12th layer of Qi Disciple, the peak of the Qi Disciple realm. Lin Feng pushed open the door, and a satisfied smile appeared on his face. He thought to himself, in the cultivation of Tao, the higher the realm, the slower the progress. Although I have the help of the system to directly start from the 4th layer of Qi Disciple, in less than a year, I rush to the peak of the 12th layer of Qi Disciple. This speed should be considered fast, right? Could it be that brother is actually a genius? Just as he was thinking, his 3 disciples came up to him. Lin Feng smiled happily. How is your cultivation going? Is there anything you don't understand? Xiao Yin, I was just about to tell Master. Last night, I saw the moon rise and the sun set, and the stars were shining. As I watched, I vaguely understood a kind of mysterious martial arts principle. After pondering for a night, I figured out a martial art. I was just about to ask Master to comment on it. In addition, the bottleneck of my Tao realm seems to have loosened because of this, and I think I can break through soon. The corner of Lin Feng's mouth twitched. You are already at the 9th layer of Qi Disciple. If you break through again, you will be at the 10th layer of Qi Disciple. It seems that you spent 4 years to reach the peak of Qi Disciple. Zhu Yi, Master, please allow me to report. Disciple was strolling in the mountains yesterday and accidentally found a strange flower. It was overflowing with spiritual energy, and its whole body was surrounded by golden light. It did not seem to be an ordinary item. Disciple did not dare to make a decision on his own, so I specially brought it back for Master to deal with. Lin Feng took the spirit flower expressionlessly. Through the system's inquiry, he found out that this flower was called 3 Leaves Orchid, and it was the main ingredient of the bottleneck breaking pill that helped people break through bottlenecks. Shout Budian, Master, I broke through the 10th layer of Qi Disciple. I broke through without knowing it. I don't know what's going on either. Lin Feng was speechless. His line of sight tilted at a 45-degree angle to the sky, and he felt as if something seemed to flash past the corner of his eyes. Coach, I also want to break off the engagement. Coach, I also want to have a tiger father and a wolf father. Coach, is it too late for me to drink beast milk now? After dispiritedly sending away his 3 disciples, Lin Feng returned to his room. After sitting in a daze for a moment, he took out a ring from his bosom. It was precisely the ring that did not have the remnant soul of Tao Tai sealed in it. Before, Lin Feng was afraid of Tao Tai, so he constantly strengthened the heaven cage sigil to seal her. In the end, he almost forgot about this matter. When he had nothing to do, he would use the ring to practice the heaven cage sigil, and after practicing, he would forget about it. But now he changed his mind. If he really wanted to go to Hung Yu sect to snatch people away, in case the Hung Yu sect's golden elixir period big shots took it seriously, Lin Feng needed more trump cards. The current him had to unite and mobilize all useful forces. Chapter 58. Other than the Hung Yu sect, Lin Feng was well aware that even though he didn't know if it was a divine artifact or an old grandpa, Wang Lin definitely had a golden thigh. This was also a competitor for Lin Feng's position. Lin Feng's consciousness entered into the ring. In the dark space, inside a cage formed by interweaving pillars of light, sat a little girl. She had 2 pigtails, her face was as fair as a jade peck, snow white and cute. The little lowly was bored to death sitting there, her mouth continuously muttering, I'm starving. The corner of Lin Feng's mouth twitched. This glutton. Seeing Lin Feng, the little lowly wrinkled her cute little nose, snorted, and turned her face away from him. The little fellow's behavior was somewhat childish, but Lin Feng didn't dare to lower his guard. In a sense, this little lowly-looking vicious beast cub was no less threatening than a golden elixir period cultivator. Because right now, Lin Feng could only use the heaven cage sigil to trap her, but he couldn't completely kill her. There might be hope if he pushed the power of the 24 Heaven Arhut formation to the extreme, but he wasn't 100% sure. Although he was vigilant, Lin Feng still smiled on the surface. Little fellow, are you used to living here? Hearing Lin Feng's question, the Taodai cub's eyebrows immediately stood up, wanting to explode. After carefully looking at the surrounding light cage, She barely suppressed her anger and snorted heavily. "I'll let you stay here for half a year. You naturally know what it feels like." Pausing, the little fellow still couldn't resist saying, "I say it's fine if you lock me up, but at least give me something to eat. I'm really hungry." Lin Feng thought to himself, "If you devour magic power and spirit energy and recover your strength, I won't be able to lock you up." Although she had always been trapped by the Heaven Cage sigil, Lin Feng didn't torture or weaken her. Although she hadn't eaten, her original magic power hadn't dissipated, so it was completely impossible for her to starve to death. Perhaps her hunger was a real feeling, but it was completely due to the gluttonous instinct of a Tao Dai. Lin Feng said with a smile, "We've known each other for a long time. What's your name?" The little lowly rolled her eyes. "Why should I tell you?" Lin Feng wasn't angry. He smiled and said, "You tell me. There are benefits. For example, food." The Tao Tai cub's eyes immediately lit up, and it beamed with joy. "Really?" "Really, but you have to tell the truth first." Lin Feng flicked the bars of the cage with his finger. His tone turned cold. "If you dare to fool me, you know the consequences." The little lowly shrunk her neck. "Ever since I was young, my parents always call me Tunton." "Swallow." "Swallow?" Lin Feng was amused and annoyed at the same time. This name was really lofty, and it couldn't be more appropriate. Swallowing his saliva, he asked, "Is there anything to eat?" Lin Feng calculated for a bit. The Heaven Cage sigil he set up back then, when he was at Chi Disciple level 7, could already lock Tunton in its current strength. Then giving her a bit of sweetness first is not a bad idea. But he has to control the amount and ensure that he can still seal her at Chi Disciple level 12. After calculating, Lin Feng threw Tunton some pills. Tunton didn't stand on ceremony. Like its name, it opened its little mouth and swallowed it all in one gulp. After swallowing, it smacked its lips. "The amount is too little. It's not even enough to fill the gaps between my teeth." Lin Feng smiled. "This is just the beginning. As long as you're obedient, you'll have something to eat." Tunton's eyes flashed, and it was instead not so enthusiastic. "You human, what do you want to do?" Lin Feng smiled. "The sword light from that old man from the Blaze Sword sect last time tasted pretty good, right?" Tunton was furious. "You want to trick me into being your shield again? Then you can only blame yourself for having a small appetite and blaming me when you're stuffed." Lin Feng's expression did not change, and his heart did not skip a beat. "But don't worry. After that time, I more or less know the limits of your appetite. When I find food for you again, I'll pay attention to control the amount." Lin Feng smiled like a granny wolf, trying to trick Little Red Riding Hood. "You have to think clearly. Other than this method, there's no other way to fill that little stomach of yours." Tunton's expression was dark and uncertain. Lin Feng's words were like the bewitching voice of hell. Think about it. How painful is it to go hungry? That panic in the heart is like someone is using a little claw to scratch it. Tunton shivered, feeling helpless in her heart. Right now, she's the meat on the chopping block, completely controlled by Lin Feng. Okay. Tunton helplessly agreed. "Humans die for wealth. Tao Tai dies for food." Hearing this, Lin Feng started laughing mischievously, like a weird uncle who successfully tricked a little lowly into looking a goldfish. After dealing with Tunton, Lin Feng's mood became much better. "I'm already at Chi Disciple level 12. Next is Foundation Establishment." Foundation Establishment is to establish the Tao Foundation. Different from Chi Disciple, which is divided into 12 levels, Foundation Establishment is only divided into 3 levels. Normally, it's called Foundation Establishment Early Stage, Foundation Establishment Middle Stage, and Foundation Establishment Late Stage. Sometimes it's also called Chi C, Spirit Platform, and Pill Cauldron Level based on their characteristics. Foundation Establishment Early Stage, cultivators open their Chi C. Their mana is as vast and majestic as the ocean, far surpassing Chi Disciple cultivators in terms of quantity. The cultivators from the house of the Marquis of Xuanji that Lin Feng met in the Black Cloud Underground Palace before, the 5 members of the 5 Elements sect, led by the yellow-clothed old man, and the purple-clothed middle-aged man, were all Foundation Establishment early stage, Chi-Si stage cultivators. In the middle stage of the Foundation building realm, a cultivator used the boundless magic power in their Chi-Si to build a beer platform. This beer platform was the true foundation of a cultivator's Tao. Tall buildings were built from the ground up. In the future, when one formed a gold core or formed a nascent soul, they would all start from here. The Celeritas sword sect elder Yi Gu, who brought Murong Yanran to the Shao family that day to break off the engagement, Elder Vulture, the white-clothed scholar, and the black-clothed swordsman who besieged the monk Hui Ku are all Foundation Establishment middle stage, spirit platform stage cultivators. As for Foundation Establishment late stage, they have to condense a pill cauldron on top of the spirit platform. Compared to spirit platform stage cultivators, pill cauldron stage cultivators only have slightly more condensed mana. The difference in battle strength isn't that great. But condensing a pill cauldron is the most important part of the Foundation Establishment stage. This is because the pill cauldron will directly decide the success or failure of a cultivator's core formation. Whether or not they can charge into the higher realms of the Golden Elixir period in the future all depends on the quality of the pill cauldron. The monk Hui Ku, who was killed by Lin Feng and had his Sarira stolen, was actually already Foundation Establishment late stage long ago, a pill cauldron stage cultivator. Because the art of Akala he cultivates is flawed, that's why he's been unable to form the Golden Elixir and break through to the next realm. This is also why he's so stubborn toward Xiaoyan. Even though the Foundation Establishment stage is only divided into 3 major realms, there are still strong and weak cultivators of the same level. This is because the Spirit Platform is divided into 9 grades. Grade 1 Spirit Platform is the best. Grade 9 Spirit Platform is the worst. Extending from this, from Grade 1 to Grade 9 Pill Cauldron, there is a huge gap between each grade, and an even bigger gap is after the Golden Elixir is formed in the future. The quality of the Golden Elixir will also differ, directly deciding a cultivator's cultivation potential in the future. Condensing a Grade 9 Pill Cauldron on top of a Grade 9 Spirit Platform, being able to refine the Golden Elixir is already an enormous fortune. As for the quality of the Golden Elixir and raising one's realm in the future, at that time, one doesn't even need to think about it. But condensing a Grade 1 Pill Cauldron on top of a Grade 1 Spirit Platform, after a cultivator advances to the Golden Elixir period, their future prospects will inevitably be great. Why did Xiao Budian suffer a calamity in the past? It was because he was born with a Chi-Si. Above his Chi-Si was a Supreme Spirit Platform, and it was even above the Grade 1 Spirit Platform. Having a Supreme Pill Cauldron on top of the Supreme Spirit Platform, forming a Golden Elixir is definitely the best. Not to mention the Golden Elixir period, Yuan Ying, and even the Primordial Spirit can be expected to reach the Great Tao. Lin Feng thought, Xiao Budian's root bone is still at the full value of 10. In the future, when he reaches the Foundation Establishment stage, opens his Chi-Si, and forms a Spirit Platform, will he still be able to form a Supreme Spirit Platform? While thinking, Lin Feng pushed open the door and walked out of the room. He saw his 3 disciples in the courtyard, gazing into the distance. Seeing Lin Feng come out, the 3 of them hurriedly greeted him. After bowing, Lin Feng asked them what they were looking at. Xiaoyan replied, Master, 100-meter-long centipede flew in the sky just now. There were many vague figures on the centipede, and it flew in that direction. Lin Feng looked in the direction he was pointing, and his eyes flashed. That direction is where the Hung Yu sect is. Could it be that the people from the Xian Dao sect have arrived? Chapter 59. After settling down his 3 disciples, Lin Feng waved the black cloud flag and flew toward Hengyu Mountain. From afar, a centipede with 1,000 feet, about 100 meters long, could be seen in the sky. This centipede was completely black, and as it flew on black clouds, thunder could be heard. It circled above Hengyu Mountain, faintly showing off. Then, A purple sword light shot into the sky from the main peak of Hangyu Mountain. It turned into a dragon-shaped shadow and roared at the centipede. Only then did the centipede retract its aura and land on Hangyu Mountain with the Xiandao sect cultivators on its back. Most of the people from Hangyu sect were distracted by the centipede, so Lin Feng easily went up the mountain again. The leader of the Xiandao sect was an old man with a white beard. He was at the middle stage of Foundation establishment and was very friendly. He laughed and said, "Fellow cultivator, your Hangyu sect has a lot of potential this time." There had been no news of the Hangyu sect's Yuanying ancestor going to the void battlefield for hundreds of years. The patriarch of the sect during the Golden Elixir period was in seclusion. The current Hangyu sect leader was a middle-aged cultivator at the late stage of Foundation establishment. The Hangyu sect leader was very polite to the old man's praise, and the atmosphere was very harmonious. Lin Feng secretly sneered. He knew that this friendly atmosphere wouldn't last long. The Xiandao sect was a guest from afar, so they were arranged to rest in a guest room. 3 days later, the competition between the two sects would officially begin. The participating disciples were basically all at the Qi condensation stage. Ever since Lin Feng came to this world, the Tao, spells, and divine abilities that he had come into contact with were of a relatively high level. Thus, Lin Feng wasn't very interested in the techniques and martial arts used in the competition. Half of his attention was used to hide his tracks, and the other half was on Wang Lin. Wang Lin had only entered the sect a few days ago and was only an in-name disciple. There was no one to teach him Tao, and he only did odd jobs on the mountain. But Lin Feng actually faintly felt a trace of faintly discernible spirit energy fluctuations on Wang Lin's body. Even though it's extremely weak, still far from Qi disciple level 1, but on Wang Lin's body there are indeed signs of already beginning to draw Qi into his body. Lin Feng was astonished. Wang Lin's potential is indeed astonishing, but his innate talent is rather poor, even lower than the average standard. He belongs to the type of person who will rise to power in the later stages of cultivation. He shouldn't have improved so quickly when he just started cultivating, right? At this moment, Wang Lin was following behind a middle-aged cultivator in a well-behaved manner, earnestly watching the battle that had already begun on the arena. His figure fell in the middle of the crowd, completely inconspicuous. Lin Feng's gaze shifted to the middle-aged cultivator in front of Wang Lin. "You actually acknowledged him as your master? That person must have imparted a Tao technique to him, but it shouldn't have been that fast." This middle-aged cultivator himself was only at the 8th level of Qi cultivation. For a person to still be at this level in his middle age, there was basically no more potential to be unearthed. It would be the end of his life if he could successfully reach Foundation establishment. Looks like this Wang Lin really did have some sort of fortuitous encounter. It wasn't some special treasure or Tao technique, it was just an old grandpa. Lin Feng's expression darkened. This time, not only did the Hangyu sect beat him to it, even his position as an old grandpa was taken. Lin Feng calculated in his heart. If his guess was correct, the Xiandao sect with Pu Beizi support would most likely snatch the Hangyu sect's mountain. As a result, the Hangyu sect's prestige would definitely plummet, and the unity of the sect would definitely decrease. Wang Lin, who was already not valued and now had a fortuitous encounter, might leave the Hangyu sect because of this. Plus, he looked so inconspicuous now, so Pu Beizi and the Xiandao sect most likely wouldn't take a liking to him. Lin Feng's most important competitor was that old grandpa who had appeared out of nowhere. I wonder how much strength that old ghost has left. Lin Feng let out a long sigh. He had already made up his mind. Grandpa Zhan snatched Wang Lin. He was determined to have this disciple. At this time, the battle between the two sects had reached its climax. One of the Hangyu sect disciples had the upper hand, forcing the Xiandao sect disciple to take out a yellow, paper-like magic artifact to block. 2 rays of white light flew out of the Hangyu sect disciple's sleeves, circled in the air, and attacked his opponent at lightning speed. The Xiandao sect disciple laughed bitterly. He had put all his energy into blocking the first attack, and didn't have any energy left to block the second wave of attacks. Just at this time, someone from the Xiandao sect suddenly let out a cold snort. Then, a ray of black light shot out and intercepted the two rays of white light in the air. With a twist, the white light shattered. The Hengyu sect disciples all shouted angrily. The Xiandao sect disciple who attacked sneered and jumped onto the stage. He looked at the Hengyu sect disciples and arrogantly said, "You Hengyu sect Qi condensation disciples can come at me together. I alone am enough." The expressions of the Hengyu sect elders darkened, and they all looked at the white-bearded old man leading the Xiandao sect team. The old man stroked his beard, coughed, and said, "This time, we'll decide the winner by ourselves. If any of your Hengyu sect disciples can last 10 seconds without being defeated, your Hengyu sect wins." He paused for a moment, then smiled and said, "I'll take this opportunity to clarify something. If my Xiandao sect wins today, apart from the previous rewards, I'll add on something else. This Hengyu mountain needs to be lent to my Xiandao sect for 500 years. Hearing this, Lin Feng laughed silently. "It's coming, it's coming, it's coming." All the Hengyu sect cultivators' expressions changed slightly. The Hengyu sect leader squinted his eyes. "Friend, are you joking?" The white-bearded old man smiled but didn't answer. He turned to the arrogant Xiandao sect disciple and said, "Undo the talisman." Hearing this person pulled open his clothes and revealed the talisman. After taking it off, his power instantly increased, and he displayed the power of a peak Qi condensation cultivator. However, the most eye-catching thing was the talisman. When the Hengyu sect's foundation establishment cultivators saw it, they were all shocked. The white-bearded old man said calmly, "Friend, you saw this talisman as well. The power on it can't be made by a Yuanying ancestor. To tell you the truth, my Xiandao sect's ancestor, Pu Beizi, has returned from the void battlefield. He brought back news that your two ancestors have both died. My Xiandao sect didn't take it by force because of our past relationship. Instead, we left Hengyu sect some face. If Hengyu sect wins this competition, then this matter will be over. I've already passed on my message. Friend Huang Long, continue the competition." Reality proved that Hengyu sect's strongest Qi condensation disciple was only at Qi condensation level 10. A few of them together were no match for the Xiandao sect disciple who was at peak Qi condensation. Lin Feng's smile was very evil. He faintly thought that if it wasn't for his 9-turn flame soul pill that helped Pu Beizi heal his injuries, this competition might not have started so early. If it didn't start early, this competition might very well become Wang Lin's first battle in the novice village on his path to legend. When everyone in the same sect was defeated and the opponent was extremely arrogant and domineering, he would go up and slap the opponent, shocking everyone, and then step onto his own path. TSK, what a perfect script. But now that the competition had started early, Wang Lin had only just drawn Qi into his body and hadn't even reached Qi condensation level 1. How could he be so domineering and turn the tide? As expected, Hengyu sect lost this competition without any suspense. The Hengyu sect disciples watched with bitterness and anger as the opponent left. The news of the death of the Yuanying ancestor weighed heavily on everyone's hearts like a huge rock. Wang Lin was mixed in the crowd. His expression was one of anger and disappointment, but there was nothing he could do. His gaze was extremely complicated. He subconsciously touched his chest, and the desire for power in his heart grew stronger. Holding on to a sliver of hope, Hengyu's sect didn't move, but what they waited for was despair. 5 days later, rolling black clouds covered the top of Hengyu Mountain, and a thunderous voice rang through the sky. "I'm Pu Beizi. Juniors of Hengyu's sect, come out." Chapter 60. The sky above Hengyu Mountain was filled with dark clouds, and a small black mountain suddenly appeared in the sky. It grew in the wind and instantly became a giant mountain. Following Pu Beizi's spell, the giant mountain immediately smashed down. A light screen appeared above Hung Yu Mountain like an upside-down bowl, protecting the Hung Yu sect and blocking the attack of the giant mountain. But as Pu Beizi continued to increase his power, the Hung Yu sect's protective formation without a Yuanning cultivator became weaker and weaker. It was on the verge of collapse and looked like it was about to be broken. Lin Feng had already left the mountain and looked at this shocking scene from afar. His face was a bit pale. Yuanning cultivators are really powerful. The difference in cultivation is too big. No matter how many schemes I have, it's all in vain. He looked at the Hung Yu sect's protective formation and felt a bit lucky. This formation is really extraordinary. It has been able to resist Yuanning cultivators for so long. If I came to steal people, I definitely wouldn't be able to break in. Rather than steal, it would be more appropriate to say steal. At the same time, Lin Feng also thought that when he established his own sect, his first task would be to create a protective formation that could protect the sect. This was the foundation of the foundation. Although the Hung Yu sect protective formation was tenacious, without a Yuanning cultivator, it couldn't resist Pu Beizi's attacks. Under the repeated attacks, web-like cracks appeared on the light screen and spread out in all directions. Break! Pu Beizi let out a loud roar and pressed down the mountain by 3 inches. Hung Yu Mountain trembled, and with a rumbling sound, rocks rolled down and dust flew everywhere. The huge mountain had actually been pressed down dozens of meters. At this moment, the Hung Yu sect's protective formation finally couldn't resist anymore. It made a sound like a mirror breaking, and the entire light screen instantly shattered and disappeared. Lin Feng secretly sighed. He knew that there was no hope for the Hung Yu sect. Pu Beizi's overbearing voice came from the sky. Your Hung Yu sect's 2 nascent soul ancestors have already died in the void battlefield. You can't protect this Hung Yu mountain. Rather than letting others take it, why not give it to my Xian Dao sect? Apart from people, you can't take anything away. If you continue to be so long-winded, I don't mind destroying your entire Hung Yu sect. Apart from that, my Xian Dao sect is recruiting disciples. If you want to join, you can stay here. Lin Feng secretly shook his head. This Pu Beizi was really ruthless. He wanted to destroy the Hung Yu sect's foundation. Sure enough, the group of Hung Yu sect disciples became restless. Even the dozen or so foundation establishment elders had strange thoughts. More than half of them stayed where they were. The faces of the 2 Hung Yu sect Golden Elixir period elders were ashen, but they could only grit their teeth and swallow their anger. Taking the few disciples who were willing to follow their sect, they left Hung Yu Mountain. Lin Feng didn't care about the others. All his attention was on Wang Lin. Looking into the distance, he saw that Wang Lin didn't stay. Instead, he left the mountain with the Hung Yu sect. Lin Feng decisively followed. The 2 Golden Elixir period cultivators used their escape technique. Their bodies turned into rays of light, and they took the group of disciples who were willing to leave. After flying for a long time, they finally landed on a barren mountain. The large Hung Yu sect that was still willing to follow their sect only had a mere 20 people. It looked extremely pitiful. The 2 Golden Elixir period cultivators looked at each other. Their mouths were full of bitterness, but they still had to force themselves to encourage the people. They didn't dare to let the last of their hearts scatter. Lin Feng quietly snuck up the barren mountain and saw the 2 Golden Elixir period cultivators meditating. It was obvious that they were recovering the Fa Li they had used to control the spell formation. 3 Foundation establishment cultivators were standing guard at the side. The Qi condensation disciples were scattered on the mountain in groups of 3 to 5. Some people were diligently cultivating. Some people were cursing and blaming others. Wang Lin was assigned to fetch water for everyone. He walked towards a small stream in the distance. Lin Feng smiled and was about to follow him. Just as his feet moved, Lin Feng's movements stopped again. This was because he found that there was a person quietly following behind Wang Lin. He was careful not to make any noise lest he startled the others. This person was the middle-aged Qi condensation level 8 cultivator suspected to be Wang Lin's master. He stared at Wang Lin with a faint flash of coldness. Lin Feng frowned slightly. It seemed that he wasn't the only one who was thinking about Wang Lin. I might as well get rid of you and remove your master-disciple relationship. Lin Feng sneered and followed. Wang Lin came to the side of the stream and looked back for a moment. He didn't see anyone. However, he didn't know that the middle-aged cultivator wasn't far behind him, and that Lin Feng was following closely behind. The two trackers paid attention to hiding their bodies and auras. Wang Lin, who hadn't even reached Qi condensation level 1, naturally couldn't find them. Wang Lin didn't notice anyone behind him. He squatted by the stream and looked at the flowing water in a daze. The huge change happened so suddenly that he was caught off guard. In essence, he was still a simple youth. Today was the first time he experienced the law of the jungle in the cultivation world. This feeling made him feel very depressed. He urgently desired more power so that he could do something. He didn't want to be like a helpless weed that others didn't care about when a huge change happened. Wang Lin took out a gray stone, bead the size of a baby's fist, and thought, this thing might be the key to changing my fate. That day, he was rejected by the Hengyu sect and jumped off a cliff to commit suicide. However, he accidentally found the stone bead. The stone bead sent a small amount of spiritual qi into Wang Lin's body, healing his serious injuries from falling off the cliff. Wang Lin immediately realized that this stone bead wasn't an ordinary item. That was why when Lin Feng came that day, Wang Lin was suspicious. He thought that Lin Feng discovered the secret of the stone bead and came for it. After Wang Lin joined the Hengyu sect, he was taught some basic Dao techniques. However, he still couldn't grasp the main points. Then, the stone bead sent spiritual qi into his body again. Then, Wang Lin found that he could actually draw spiritual qi into his body. This further confirmed Wang Lin's judgment. This stone bead was definitely a treasure. There were many people in the Xiandao sect, and the situation was complicated. Wang Lin chose to stay in the Hengyu sect to protect the secret of this stone bead. Seeing the stone bead, Lin Feng's eyes became cold, and he gritted his teeth. It's you bastard. On the other side, the middle-aged cultivator's eyes lit up, and he smiled happily. I knew you had a secret on you. Ha! The heavens have blessed me, Sun Xiaozhu, to give me such a treasure. When Sun Xiaozhu appeared, Wang Lin was shocked. When he turned around and saw Sun Xiaozhu, his expression immediately became ugly. Good disciple, let me see that stone bead. Sun Xiaozhu laughed as he walked towards Wang Lin. Wang Lin's fist that was holding the stone bead tightened, and he said in a low voice, Master, it's just a normal marble. Disciple is playing with it. Sun Xiaozhu laughed strangely and suddenly slapped Wang Lin to the ground. You still dare to lie to me? With your poor talent, there must be a special reason for you to be able to draw spiritual qi into your body after just a few days. If it wasn't to find out your secret, do you think I would accept a trash like you as my disciple? Wang Lin fell to the ground and curled his body into a ball, hiding the stone bead tightly in his chest. He pursed his lips and didn't say a word. His face was filled with stubbornness. Sun Xiaozhu laughed coldly. You got a rare treasure, but you don't want to give it to your master. Instead, you dare to hide it? Obediently give it to me, or else you'll suffer. Well done. Lin Feng rubbed his palms together and quickly tidied up his clothes. He was ready to go out. Your actions perfectly accentuated my heroic appearance. Thank you, brother. Lin Feng was about to step out when Wang Lin on the ground suddenly let out a low cry, and then he saw a wisp of black smoke come out from the stone orb in his arms, condensing into a human figure in midair, cackling weirdly. Lin Feng almost tripped over his own feet. He quickly stopped and gritted his teeth as he stared at the figure in the air. I bought a watch last year. You really have an old grandpa? Chapter 61. Although Lin Feng gritted his teeth in hatred, he was still mentally prepared. Wang Lin and Sun Xiaozhu, on the other hand, were dumbfounded. Black smoke continuously came out of the stone bead and condensed into a human figure in the air, letting out a strange old laugh. Lin Feng looked carefully and saw that the figure was an old man with an unruly, arrogant, and overbearing demeanor. A mere Qi disciple stage and dares to covet my treasure? What a joke, what a joke. The old man's laughter was very heroic, but Lin Feng sensed a thick aura of viciousness and savagery from between his brows and gaze. This old ghost must be vicious and not a good person. Lin Feng's eyes flashed, but he was not in a hurry to make a move. Instead, he prepared to observe patiently and know his enemy. Sun Xiaozhu, on the other hand, didn't have such good willpower and scolded. Where did this wandering ghost come from? How dare you be so arrogant? Then he put his hands together and formed a spell. As his magic power surged, a golden light flew out from his waist and shot towards the old man. The old man sneered and pointed with his finger. A cloud of black mist spurted out and blocked the golden light. Watch me break your evil technique. Sun Xiaozhu's hands changed the spell. Just as the golden light was about to touch the black mist, it suddenly exploded and turned into a sky full of golden light that fell on the black mist like rain. At once, the golden light flashed and the black mist was riddled with holes. Lin Feng looked at Sun Xiaozhu, who was beaming with joy and couldn't help but sneer in his heart. What kind of opponent do you think you're facing? Sure enough, the old man floated in the air without any change in his expression. The black mist suddenly spun like a giant whirlpool. The golden raindrops that fell into it were quickly swallowed by the whirlpool. Sun Xiaozhu's expression changed, and his face became pale. After holding it in for a long time, he couldn't hold it in and spat out a mouthful of blood. How could he not know the consequences now? He pointed at Wang Lin and hissed, "Traitorous disciple, how dare you collude with evil to harm your own master? My Hengyu sect will not tolerate a traitorous disciple like you. Today, I will expel you from a sect." The original master-disciple relationship of the target has been removed. Host can now accept the target as a disciple. Hearing the system prompt in his mind, Lin Feng looked at Sun Xiaozhu in a daze. Damn, it's that simple. Wang Lin was only an in-name disciple of the Hengyu sect and was under Sun Xiaozhu's tutelage. As long as Sun Xiaozhu removed their master-disciple relationship, he wouldn't need the permission of the Hengyu sect. If not for Lin Feng still being able to maintain his rationality, he would have immediately hugged Sun Xiaozhu and kissed him. They were really family. Sun Xiaozhu still did not know the meaning of what he did just now. He only had one thought in his mind. I can't keep it to myself. I can only run back to the sect and find the elders to subdue this demon. Wang Lin, you traitorous disciple. When I report to the 2 Golden Elixir period patriarchs, they will definitely kill you along with these demons to protect the sect. Sun Xiaozhu pointed at Wang Lin and cursed, then ran away without looking back. The old man saw Sun Xiaozhu run away and grinned, revealing a bloodthirsty and cruel aura. If this old man was at his peak, not to mention 2 Golden Elixir period, even 2 Yuaning periods would be nothing. However, I, Sikong Nan, am a tiger that has fallen to the plains, so I can't let you go and deliver the message. As Sikong Nan spoke, he pointed with his finger. The black mist turned into a rope and quickly flew towards Sun Xiaozhu. It turned into a noose in the air and directly wrapped around Sun Xiaozhu's neck. Sun Xiaozhu was scared out of his wits. He quickly put away his domineering attitude and shouted, "Junior knows his mistake. Senior, please forgive me this once." Sikongnen laughed strangely. It's too late to beg for mercy now. As he finished speaking, the black mist noose tightened. Sun Xiaozhu didn't feel suffocated, but his mana was completely restrained. In the next moment, Sun Xiaozhu shrieked in pain. His eyes glazed over as he stood rooted to the ground like a wooden statue. His soul had been taken away by Sikong Nan, and his body had become an empty shell. Lin Feng's pupils shrunk as he thought, instantly taking away a Qi disciple level 8 cultivator's soul without any chance to resist. This old ghost is not easy to deal with. The black mist noose loosened from Sun Xiaozhu's neck and returned into Sikong Nan's body. The old ghost's face was full of enjoyment. He looked up at the sky and let out a long breath. How delicious. I haven't tasted it in a long time. Taking away a person's soul, Sikong Nan's method was obviously a demonic spell. Not to mention Lin Feng. Even Wang Lin could see that he wasn't a righteous person. Sikong Nan's eyes slanted and saw Wang Lin's vigilant and faintly frightened expression. The old ghost snorted in disdain. What are you looking at? We cultivators are supposed to go against the heavens. Whoever provokes you, you kill them. You've only been in this dog shit sect for a few days. How much humiliation have you suffered? If it was me, I'm afraid this sect would have been wiped out by me. I'll make all those who insulted me disappear. Wang Lin smiled bitterly. Don't interrupt me. I'm not done yet. Your little sect still has a few pretty girls. You really don't know how to enjoy life. If it was me, I would have captured them and sucked their een dry. That feeling really makes me miss it. I haven't tasted it for more than 30 years. Wang Lin was dumbfounded and speechless. Sikong Nan talked nonstop for a long time before he finally stopped. He cast a sidelong glance at Wang Lin and snorted, "Stinking brat. How does it feel to be bullied by others and fight all of you alone?" Wang Lin was startled. He had only been in the sect for a few days and was mocked and looked down on. He didn't have a strong sense of belonging to the Hongyu sect. However, during the competition, when the Xian Dao sect Qi condensation disciple challenged all the Hongyu sect Qi condensation disciples, Wang Lin was in the crowd and felt angry. Unfortunately, he didn't even have Qi condensation level 1 cultivation. He could only watch helplessly as the other party pointed at everyone's nose and provoked them. Seeing the anger on Wang Lin's face, Sikong Nan smiled leisurely. How does it feel to have your sect taken away and chased out like a stray dog? Wang Lin pursed his lips. What do you want to say? Sikong Nan smiled. Do you want to become stronger? Do you want to have unparalleled strength? Do you want to slap someone back to their grandma's house when they provoke you? Wang Lin's eyes lit up. Lin Feng, who was hiding on the side, had fire in his eyes. Damn it. Not only did this old ghost steal my business, he also stole my lines. Wang Lin asked, "You can make me stronger? You can teach me cultivation techniques and techniques?" Sikong Nan laughed. It's just a small matter. If you learn from me, in less than 10 years, you'll be able to climb the path to the heavens. At that time, you'll know that the Yuanine cultivator who took away your sect today is nothing more than a chicken or a dog. However, the path of cultivation is full of thorns and is definitely not smooth. You'll have to suffer a lot. Can you endure it? Wang Lin's face showed determination. Lin Feng's expression was ferocious. His mana surged and he was ready to attack. Damn, get out of my way. This disciple is mine. Chapter 62. Wang Lin revealed a determined expression and gritted his teeth. I can endure any pain. Lin Feng stared coldly at Sikong Nan. Just as he was about to attack, he suddenly noticed that after Wang Lin agreed, Sikong Nan's eyes flashed with imperceptible pride and ecstasy. Lin Feng was slightly startled, and a thought flashed through his mind. This old ghost doesn't have a system like me, and knows that Wang Lin has such strong potential. Right now, Wang Lin looks like a piece of trash with extremely poor talent. Why is he so happy after taking Wang Lin? In a split second, Lin Feng forcibly suppressed the urge to attack. This old ghost is strange. After a pause, the pride and ecstasy in Sikong Nan's eyes disappeared. He glanced at the place where the Hongyu sect people were gathered. This is not the place to talk. I'll take you to a secret place first, and then we'll talk. As he spoke, Sikong Nan's body was shrouded in black mist. It wrapped around Wang Lin and flew into the distance. Lin Feng quietly raised the black cloud flag and quietly followed behind. Let's see what you're up to. For someone like Wang Lin, the main character of a fantasy novel, it was almost standard for him to carry an old grandpa with him. However, Lin Feng always felt that this old grandpa Sikong Nan was a bit strange. The black mist took Wang Lin and flew for hundreds of miles before landing in a valley. Wang Lin landed dizzily, and the black mist reformed into Sikong Nan's figure in front of him. Lin Feng followed him into the valley, only to see Sikong Nan raise his hand and shoot out a cloud of black smoke, covering the inside of the valley. People on the outside cannot see the scene inside, nor can they hear the sounds coming out from within. This black smoke is formed by the old ghost's magic power. If I were to use conventional methods to sneak in, no matter how stealthy I am, I would still be discovered by the old ghost. Lin Feng smiled. Unfortunately, it's not a problem for me. The black cloud flag lightly waved, and a black light flickered. Lin Feng entered the enchantment that Sikong Nan had set up. The black cloud flag directly broke through the void and teleported from the space outside the enchantment to the space inside the enchantment. It did not come into contact with the black smoke, so naturally, it would not be discovered by Sikong Nan. After Lin Feng quietly sneaked in, he saw Sikong Nan and Wang Lin standing face to face inside the barrier of black smoke. There shouldn't be anyone here to disturb us. Sikong Nan mumbled to himself. Then, he turned to look at Wang Lin and said solemnly, "To cultivate my Dao technique, you will need the underworld pearl in your hand." Lin Feng's gaze fell on the stone pearl in Wang Lin's hand. Wang Lin also lowered his head to look at the stone pearl. Sikong Nan continued, "Your foundation is weak, and your foundation is also weak. If you want to quickly increase your strength, there is only one way, and that is for this old man to use the infusion technique to help you advance by leaps and bounds." Wang Lin asked doubtfully, "Infusion?" Sikong Nan nodded and said, "In a moment, use your mind to communicate with the underworld pearl in your hand. It would be best if you can draw out the power of the underworld pearl to nourish your body. At the same time, open your mind to this old man. Open your mind to your sea of consciousness. This old man will infusion for you and help you increase your cultivation. Using both methods at the same time and combining the power of both sides, you will be able to be reborn." Wang Lin blinked. After a long silence, he suddenly asked, "Senior, why do you want to help me?" As soon as these words came out, Sikong Nan and Lin Feng were both stunned. This kid, it was fine if he didn't speak, but once he did, his question hit the nail on the head. Sikong Nan was stunned for a moment. Then he coldly snorted and said, "This old man saw that you were a good-for-nothing kid and got angry, so I was kind enough to help you. And now you're taking advantage of me?" Wang Lin's eyes flashed, and he said in a deep voice, "Thank you for your kindness, Senior, but there is no need to trouble Senior. Senior, please send me back to meet the elders of the sect." Sikong Nan narrowed his eyes. "You don't know how to appreciate favors. Do you know what you are saying?" Wang Lin tightly pursed his lips and said in a tone that was neither servile nor overbearing, "Junior's talent is clumsy, and my cultivation is low. I'm afraid I can't repay Senior's great kindness. I don't dare accept Senior's great kindness." Sikong Nan laughed strangely. "That's not up to you." Wang Lin's expression changed slightly, and he heard Sikong Nan continue, "I originally wanted to save some time, but since you don't know how to appreciate favors, then this old man will have to spend some effort to let you see this old man's methods." As he said this, Sikong Nan's hands formed a seal, and suddenly, rolling black fog sprayed out, enveloping Wang Lin. Lin Feng watched from the side, and he was tongue-tied. This isn't the right script. The destined one is going to fight with his grandfather? Once he was enveloped by the black fog, Wang Lin's vision became chaotic, and his head became dizzy. He just wanted to fall asleep. Intuition told Wang Lin that once he fell asleep, he would never wake up again. At this moment, Wang Lin suddenly had a flash of inspiration. This old man's cultivation is far beyond the qi refining stage, much higher than mine. Killing me is like swatting a mosquito. Although he appeared from within the underworld pearl, it seems that he can't control the underworld pearl. The underworld pearl is the only thing I can rely on now. If there's anything that can protect me, it's definitely the underworld pearl. Thinking this, Wang Lin forced himself to stay awake, and he focused all his attention on the underworld pearl in his hand. At this critical moment, a person's potential exploded, and Wang Lin really succeeded in communicating with the underworld pearl. The originally gray and inconspicuous stone bead suddenly emitted a dim yellow halo, blocking Sikong Nan's black mist from entering it. Seeing this, Sikong Nan was furious, but he had no other choice. He could only keep increasing his magic power, hoping that the black fog could break through the yellow halo. The old man was in so much pain that he wanted to die. In the past, Sikong Nan fought with others for this underworld pearl. His physical body was destroyed, and his soul was heavily injured, so he could only attach himself to the underworld pearl. After decades, not only did he not manage to refine this treasure, but he also showed signs of being refined by the underworld pearl. Gradually, he was trapped in the underworld pearl, unable to get out. When Wang Lin obtained the underworld pearl, he had a wound on his body, and his blood had dripped on the underworld pearl, inadvertently sacrificing this treasure. However, Wang Lin's cultivation level was too low, and he was unable to control the underworld pearl. Sikong Nan's plan was to take over Wang Lin's body. Not only would he obtain a new physical body, but he would also be able to use this opportunity to refine the underworld pearl. Who knew that Wang Lin would become suspicious and not give him a chance? However, Sikong Nan could not kill Wang Lin. If Wang Lin died, Sikong Nan would continue to be trapped in the underworld pearl. Thus, his current plan was to use sorcery to subdue Wang Lin and obediently offer his physical body. Unfortunately, Wang Lin had successfully activated the underworld pearl to resist at the critical moment of life and death. Sikong Nan could not dismount, and he could only fight with Wang Lin to see who could last longer. At this moment, Lin Feng understood everything. How was this an old grandpa? This was clearly an old demon who wanted to take over Wang Lin's body. After understanding this, Lin Feng completely calmed down. It seemed that the first pot of gold in Wang Lin's life was the treasure, the underworld pearl, and not some old grandpa. This Sikong Nan was basically a villain. Not only would he not fight with Lin Feng for the position of old grandpa, but he would also become a stepping stone to set off Lin Feng's villain. Of course, the prerequisite for all of this was that he could not let this old ghost really take over Wang Lin's body. Lin Feng smiled coldly at Sikong Nan. "Old ghost, you bully my disciple. You really don't know how to write the word death. That you're tuning in to the Warrior Lore YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.